burning up, now the sun gone down. Lights in the distance, a forgotten town. No, I'm on my way. Oh, I'm on my way. So stand on the edge of the world with me.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's stream. I'll be handing you over now to Zach and Nick.
Good evening and welcome, guys and girls. Welcome to the Gentlemen's Racing Club, brought to you by LJ Hooker Gander and Central Coast Subaru, and the broadcast brought to you by Doadrift. My name is Nick, and joining me tonight in commentary is Zach.
Hello Nick, hi Rob, hi Paul, hi everyone. Good to be back with you on a Friday night, midway point of the championship. Exciting times and a nice small circuit tonight. We've had a couple of long circuits with the production car portion of the series. Nice short one tonight. And then, of course, we head back across the Atlantic. We've had a fascination with the Atlantic. It's featured the last 3 weeks in some way, shape or form. And it's something a little bit different. You're going to see stock cars on a road course at Daytona, which is going to be fascinating stuff. So a big night ahead. But first up, the little Tsukuba circuit. We stay in Asia for the production car series. Last week it was Okayama. This week Tsukuba. It's going to be an absolute belter, I reckon.
Yeah, it should be shaping up for a good one. The times are pretty tight at the top here, so it's going to be a tough race. It's going to be a long one, a tough one. And these cars are going to chew up tyres, so we'll see how we go.
Indeed, we will. Just having a look at the screen at the moment. Michael Hammond's still on top in the latter stages of qualifying here. Semi Bobby is up in second spot. Simon Ferris, then Brett Cooper. Shane Witt down in fifth spot. Now, the championship battles between those, the top and the tail of that top five. Witt and Hammond. It's been hammer and tong, pardon the pun, between those two so far this season, and I expect no different tonight across the course of, 40 minutes this race?
Yeah, 40-minute race. These cars are really good on fuel, and we'll see how we go on tyres.
Indeed, we will. And Nico's in the chat room for us at the moment. We might just bring him in and have a quick chat to Paul Nichols. Mate, nice to have you on board again. Big night ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, these little Legend 34s are a lot of fun to drive. They're very taily. They're a short wheelbase car. They're on kind of R-spec tyres, so it'll be interesting to see if we get a 40-lap race or 40-minute race out of these tyres. I'm not sure whether I don't know. I might take it easy and just see if I can get the tyres to last.
Yeah, Nick and I were talking tyre strategy in the lead up to this as well, because Nick and yourself, as you were on Monday night, going to be driving and commentating, so that's going to be good fun. We would go to check in with you on a regular basis throughout the course of the 40-minute race here, and then of course we head off to the stock car portion of the evening at the Daytona road course. Mate, I have to say I love the prospect of racing on the road course at Daytona. I think that's fantastic, but it's also good from the production car standpoint. We've had a great variety in terms of cars that have featured in the production car races so far, and now tonight the smallest car on the smallest circuit. It's a good mix.
Absolutely. I think when the clues for this, I said, a small American, a small American in Japan, or the land of the rising sun, something like that. It'd be a great little car for this track. It's like a little go-kart track, obviously, so it's fantastic. Just also want to shout out to All Certs, vehicle certifications on the Gold Coast was sponsoring the series. Thank you, guys.
Indeed. Now, Nick, just having a look at the closing stages of qualifying here. the number 6 having off-track excursion. Let's talk a little bit about the circuit, because we mentioned it's small. It's only 2.045 kilometres. It's a nice short lap, a little over a minute. So we're heading upwards of 35 laps tonight, pending how long we go under competition clampdown for. The Tsukuba circuit itself, though, 12 turns in just 2 kilometres. So the drivers, there's not going to be much rest time here. They're going to be constantly working the steering wheel.
That's it. I think the back stretch, you only go up 1 gear, and by the time you've hit that gear, it's time to brake for the final turn. So, yes, like you said, no resting.
Yeah, no rest at all. So it's going to be a busy 40 minutes here. And then, of course, you know, there's talk about the pit strategy as well. Do you stop for tyres? There's talk that you probably won't need to stop for fuel. These cars seem to be fairly good on fuel. And then, of course, you've got to factor into the equation where the competition caution comes into play. And that will actually be tonight. The last couple of weeks we've seen just the field come under the pace of the leader. Tonight, the actual iRacing safety car will be deployed during this.
Yeah, I guess the best thing, rather than a competition clampdown, the best thing with the iRacing safety car is all the instructions come up on the screen for the drivers. How easy is that for them?
Yes, exactly.
It tells you who to pass, who to follow, where to go. So it makes it nice and easy. And plus, laps around here, even under the safety car, won't be that much longer than a racing lap. So it should be good.
No, that's right. And then, of course, all attention will turn to Daytona and the road course. Fascinating that the stock cars will go race on the road course. Hopefully, a trend-setting routine for the future of NASCAR at that venue. I doubt you could get a kicker off the oval, full stop. But I think there's going to be a lot of interest in that race tonight, because Chris Whitaker's coming in after a win last week. Glenn Postlethwaite will be trying to get back in the winner's circle. Callum Watmore was close last week. There's a lot to be excited about on the banked tri-oval of Daytona, with the road course thrown in for good measure as well.
Yeah, exactly. Should be a good one. It's caught a couple people off guard, because they think Daytona and NASCARs. They think, oh yeah, we're going around the oval, but this is a road course racing series, so we'll see how we go.
Indeed. So, shouldn't be too long left in this qualifying session here. In fact, on that note, as the field starts to form up, Nick, we might get you to have a quick look at the grid for us, with a reminder that you're going to be featuring tonight, and you've applied the same strategy as last week. Let's start at the back and see how we go. Yeah,
burn from the stern. So Michael Hammond on the pole of 102.4, with Sammy Bobby, Sam Katakazinis on a 102.8. So there's 0.4 second there difference. Third place, Simon Ferris. Fourth is Brett Cooper. Fifth is Shane Witt, so keep an eye on him. Sixth, Michael Porter. Seventh, Christopher Green. Eighth, Daniel Ash. Ninth, Paul Nichols, who was just in here. And 10th, Pete Matson. So there's your top 10. We'll see how we go.
Be an excellent race. What will be interesting to see how quickly Shane Witt can get through from 5th position there. Of course, Michael Hammond on the pole, no real surprise there. He set the benchmark in qualifying. He's been the benchmark in terms of outright pace all season in the Production Car Championship here in the Friday night's motorsport portion of the Gentlemen's Racing Club schedule. And I should point out too, we were mentioning this in the lead up to Nick, the liveries, some of the liveries tonight are fantastic, as always.
These guys put in a lot of work, or they find them on another application called Trading Paint, and yeah, they look fantastic.
Yes, clearly they've got a little bit more time on their hands than we do, so good luck to them. There's the Logitech entry on your screen now. Of course, we're getting ready for a start here, folks. Not too far away. A rolling start as per usual. The field moves off behind the safety car, or the safety truck in this case. It's not a big lap here, and the formation portion of the lap is very, very small as they head down towards turn 12 now. Field under control of the leader, Michael Hammond, and he's hit the accelerator immediately. He's got the jump on everybody. Tsukuba is underway. So head towards turn 1. 12-turn circuit, limited overtaking opportunities. 2.045 kilometres. No margin for error here. Mistakes are costly. Hammond leads the field to turn 5 for the first time. Got the jump cleanly. Beautiful jump from Hammond. We were expecting maybe a little bit of trouble at turn 7, but everyone's got through there safely so far. Witt is settled there into 5th position at the moment. You can see the red car there. Well, the first of the red cars, I should say. Let's look back at Michael Hammond, and there's a little bit of trouble at turn 8, I think.
Yeah. 24 starters. Cars going everywhere at the back here. I guess it's at the back, but yeah, it's the end of lap 1 now, so I hope I can't see the score. I think Michael Hammond's leading, not by much, over Sam Katakazina, Sammy Bobby, and then Simon Ferris in 3rd.
Very good start, all the same, for Michael Hammond. That wasn't really a surprise. Bobby's got into 2nd spot. The reception coming through on my leaderboard is making it a little bit difficult to read that leaderboard at the moment. Just an internet connection issue, but we'll get that sorted out, and Nick will give us an update as we go through as well. And Nick, what you're going to find this week, I dare say, as opposed to the Okayama circuit where we were at last week, is overtaking a little bit more challenging and a little bit more tricky here.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. Someone spun on the hairpin there, didn't call it out. I came around and I stalled the car trying to avoid them. So I just lost all the positions I gained.
In fact, there's already a gap forming between about 12th and 13th in the motor race as they make their way around onto the main straight now. So good start for Hammond. He's cleared out. We'll check in with Nico very shortly and see how he's faring. The number 6 on our screen there now as well. So Witt's moving up through it in that lead pack. And we're riding with the number 6 there now as well. I'm just trying to pick up some numbers here as they go by, ladies and gentlemen. Sadly, I don't have a number, a name for the 6 there, but we'll keep pressing on. Through the back section of the circuit one more time. Now, if you're looking at good overtaking opportunities, you're looking at turn 1, provided you get a good run off turn 12, and the run there really starts off turn 11, if we're honest, onto the back straight, which is where the cars are now. And look at this, already some slipstream work going on. You're looking at turn 1, you're looking potentially at turn 5 as well. If you're lucky, turn 7, turn 10, and then, as I say, turn 12. Even in these small cars, as the Aussie flag entry has a little bit of a sideways wobble coming onto the main straight and wipes off all the speed there. That was the 301. That was Cohen Adard. And more trouble on the main straight here as well. So, early stages. Good thing there's a lot of runoff area in at the Tsukuba circuit, because these boys have needed it so far. We've all avoided a little bit of trouble to safely navigate our way through the opening couple of laps here.
And also, as a quick reminder, there's 2 fast repairs. So these guys can fit in and get a brand spanking new car. I may have to use one now.
Yes. What's happened to you, Nick? We haven't got you on our screen at the moment.
Avoiding people, and I had to sideswipe the wall coming onto the front stretch, but that's all right.
Yes, fun.
I was right behind Nico in 19th. I'm sitting in 20th. He just passed car for 18th.
Nico, let's check in with you if we can on the back of everything we've seen thus far. Challenging course for overtaking, as you and Nick are already discovering. In saying that, though, it's surprising that we've got such a small circuit, such a small car. You would have thought the small cars would actually be better for overtaking on a small track.
I think I got taken out in the first lap. I think it was in 9th or something, and got taken out. I think coming onto the back, but I'm back up to 15th, and overtaken about 4 cars so far.
Nicely done for you, but not so nicely done for Paul Wood in the 98. You may have seen him just spinning there at turn 1, ladies and gentlemen, coming unstuck. and doing a 360 and continuing. The good thing is he had no real traffic around him, so he only lost one spot in all of that.
These cars are certainly very strong. You can actually have quite a bit of contact while still steering wheel straight. Everything's pretty straight. You can lose a body panel, it still drives all right.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. They're a great little car. Some of you will remember that these cars, well, in a verified form, obviously, made an appearance at Queensland Raceway last April, and we saw some great racing from them on the shorter configurations of the circuit. And obviously, you think of Queensland Raceway, it has 4 configurations. That's the great thing about these cars. You wouldn't necessarily throw them on long tracks on a regular basis. The short tracks work because they're a small car, they're a compact. Traffic, yes, it can be a little bit of an issue at some point when there's a lot of cars in a group per se, but for the most part, you can fit a lot of them in the same piece of real estate at the same time without too much trouble, as we saw there at the start. 24, 25 cars getting through unscathed, and everyone's still running as they head onto the back straight one more time. Very good evening to Liam Megan, to Wade McLean, to Brock Payne, to Leon McNeil, Barb Cook, Luka Kukowski, and Leon McNeil commenting. This is on Facebook Live, by the way. Apparently I'm being very polite, saying, ladies and gentlemen, it's all for the effect of the broadcast. Leon, don't worry about that. Speak nice, be polite was the motto of my childhood, I'm pretty sure. Now, just have a look at some of the onboard shots here from the Tsukuba circuit. Hope you guys can stick around and join us for the stock car portion of the evening, which is coming up shortly. But we're not even halfway through this race just yet. And providing us with some great entertainment here in the early stages. Now, Michael Hammond still has the lead. I'm going to try something here in the studio, folks. My live feed on my PC, which is where I'm also doing the broadcast from, not being very friendly. It's a little bit grainy, so I'm going to go and check out the live stream on the laptop. Would you believe it? 4 different screens running at the moment. No wonder my head's spinning by the end of the broadcast here. But we'll try and get a leaderboard for you in just a moment. We'll let Nico and Nick concentrate on their respective drives. Here's a move on the inside. The number 6 getting relegated a position there. However, if he can hang on the outside, here they go through turn 2, 3 and 4 on the way to 5. Here's a chance for the 6 to get back down on the inside. Job done there on the 888.
So much room.
Oh, well, that's exactly right.
Get my side. That's Michael Porter in the number 6. Gerard Daly right behind him, Paul Nichols and myself.
Okay, so Paul Nichols and then you just about 5 or 6 car lengths back. So you're closing in at the moment. So this could be quite interesting. Keep an eye on Paul Nichols there. He gives the 888 a touch. They come out of turn 11.
And I'm allowed to do that.
Yes, that's right. One rule for the admin, one rule for the rest. I like that. I really do. And of course, a reminder, yeah, as Nick was saying. Sorry, what was that, Paul? We lost you there.
As long as he doesn't lose a position, that's what it's all about.
Exactly. Rubbing's racing, as they say. So
Michael Porter as well. He gives him a bit of a touch-up.
Yes. So Porter, Daly, Nichols, and Nick all sitting there 1, 2, 3, 4 on your screen at this point in time. A 4-way fight for. Oh no, that was Daly running wide there. Nichols unable to capitalise on that, and Nick's been invited into the fight here as well. And now Nico's gone wide. Nick goes up the inside. Small mistake from Nico. Allows Nick through.
And we're closing in on Chris Polly up ahead in the, it looks like a Red Bull car as well.
You guys are all working together really nicely at the moment to close the gap there.
We're in his distinctive pink car.
No, that's much better. I've now got a working leaderboard that doesn't look like 370 pixels moulded into one. So it's Hammond, it's Bobby, it's Ferris at the top of the field at the moment. And we're watching this ongoing battle with, well, there's the 017 at this point in time, going around the back of the circuit. we were watching there a moment ago the battle between Daly, Nick, Nico, and Porter. And we'll come back to that for you very shortly, of course. A reminder that we've got stock cars from the Daytona Road Course coming up a little bit later on. Big Friday night doubleheader for you here with the Gentlemen's Racing Club. Live stream supplied by Robert Hazeldine and the team from Doadrift as they head back onto the main straight one more time here.
That gap between Sam Katakazinas and Michael Hammond, that it's been ballooning and bouncing back and forth. They're sitting between about 2 seconds to 0.8 of a second. So lap on lap, depending on little mistakes and bits and pieces, they're still nose to tail. I think the top 5 hasn't changed since the start.
Yeah, I think you're right. Witt's still rounding out the top 5 there at the moment. I'm just waiting for the leaderboard to roll over here so that I can give everyone Ferris 1, 2, 3.
I've had to jump out. Zach, unfortunately, my screen was freezing, so I have to reset it for later. It's okay. I'll just watch the race and commentate with you.
That's a good idea. I can use the help. Unfortunately, Nico out of the race. There's an early retirement. Obviously, that's the thing about iRacing, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, the problem isn't always mechanical. It's sometimes the technical as well. And that's unfortunately ended Nico's race here early in, round 5 of the Production Car Series. Round 6 from Tsukuba. So it's amazing how quickly that goes by, isn't it? It doesn't feel like 6 weeks, but it has
absolutely.
been. And we've still got another 4 to go, of course, on the back end of this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the last race of the season is going to be at Bathurst, and it's going to be a 120-minute race, so 2-hour race, a double point score.
2 hours and double points, and what about the stock car portion of that, mate? How long is that going to be?
I think the same. Nico Pop looks after the stock car. So
okay.
I think the plan is the same, but I don't know what the car is, but I can't remember.
So in other words, too, for you folks, for that night, you better lock out about 6 hours to spend with us, because if there's going to be 2-hour races, that's going to be a big night of fun for us right here on Doadrift. Friday Night Motorsport. Hammond, Bobby, Ferris still the top 3, folks. I'll update you as the order comes back across my screen. Cooper, Witt, Baldwin, and Farrelly, the next 4 through. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. Then Green, Millard, Holly, then Porter. So that battle that we're watching between Porter, Dales, and also Nico was 11th, 12th, and 13th, and also Paul, who's on the chat room with us at the moment. So I was just trying to get bearings as to where you guys were. It's nice that I've been able to do that right now. And a reminder that Michael Hammond's lead is about half a second here at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll find where our leader is very shortly.
0.7 at the moment, so he's doing very well. Sammy Bobby's very, very good driver in anything. He does a lot of GT racing. I think he'll be joining us for the GT series on Monday night.
Excellent. The more the merrier. That was a good outing on Monday night, actually, for the GT series. We'll chat about that in a moment. To just brush on these cars, this circuit, and the fact that Hammond's got a small buffer at the head there. It's the great equaliser, having a change of car every week and also a change of circuit. The great equaliser then is how each driver adapts to the conditions presented to him on the night. And at the moment, yes, Hammond's been a standout, but we're seeing guys like Bobby and Witt. It's been a rotating list of drivers who have been second, third, fourth fastest along the way here.
Yeah, and the dark horse in this field, Joe Baldwin, he's been offline for quite a while. He moved state, moved to WA. Has been offline for a couple of months in iRacing, but he is a very quick driver, and anything he jumps in. He used to do in real life oval dirts.
Yep.
And he's a very quick driver.
Yeah, truckie by trade.
By trade.
Nothing wrong with that. I must admit.
Just saw him. Yeah, he's in 5th now.
I must admit, you have a look at the circuit here. That turn, that 12th corner, that final sweeping right-hander to come back onto the main straight. Could you imagine how much quicker that'd be if it was a banked corner?
Oh,
like
wow,
Zandvoort, like Daytona.
Yeah.
It is a brilliant corner. There's no doubt about that. Now, just to go back and have a look at the Facebook comments that may be coming in here, just to see who might be joining us on a Friday night. Wade McLean saying, good to hear me on the mic. I'm glad someone thinks that. That's good. Taylor Gill's tuning in as well, former go-karter. He's busting keen for rally to get back underway as Taylor Gill. And we wish him all the best with his exploits in the world of rallying once the season gets back underway. We're talking domestically, obviously, at the moment. But who knows, there might be some international...
Zach, we have a rally road series starting on Saturday.
Ah, there you go. Taylor, there you go, mate. Check it out. Gentlemen's Racing Club. Join the group on Facebook and have a chat to the boys and find out about that rally series, mate. Get involved. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, and Taylor's a prime example. You look at the karting ranks these days, and I know we'll concentrate on the race here in just a moment because things are spicing up at the front of the field, close to the top. Have a look at this, very close at the top here. I think we're watching the lead battle now between Hammond and Bobby. And look at how close Bobby has been to Hammond, and it's been that way all throughout the race so far. As they make their way through turn 7.
Very good, respectful driver. I've been watching this battle, and they both certainly give each other room when needed. Good
run out of turn 11 by Bobby. He's tucked into the draft of Hammond now. If he wanted to send it, he could, but no, he's pulling off to the side. I think he might have got the safety car has been called. There we go. So that would explain exactly, because I thought Bobby was setting himself up very nicely there for a run through 12 on Hammond going to turn 1. It didn't happen. Safety car has been called, and Hammond will lead them around behind the iRacing truck for the moment. It's interesting to go back to what I was saying with Taylor. Everyone creates or chooses their own path these days. There used to be a progression up through the ranks via Formula Ford or Formula V. Now you've got so many different options at your disposal because you've got tin tops, you've got open wheelers, you've got sim racing in which to go and make a name for yourself. Taylor's gone to rallying, which is, you know, an abnormal choice compared to a lot of the guys around him, but he's going well there. I think of the Hyundai Excels and the Nissan Pulsars, particularly in New South Wales and Victoria. Everyone that's coming up through the ranks of motorsport now in 2020, they have more choices than ever before in terms of creating their own path to the top, because then obviously it goes on to things like the Toyota 86 Racing Series, TA2, the Carrera Cup, then of course the supercar ranks, and then when you want to do a sidestep, you go to something like the Super Utes. So there's more ways than ever before to get involved in motorsport, and that's not a bad thing at all, Paul.
Yeah, you know, it's very similar in iRacing as well. You can choose your path. You can do open wheelers, you can do NASCAR, you can do oval series, obviously you can do road series, GT3s. There's a whole range of things you can jump into and follow a path.
Just pitting in.
Rightio. Pitting right now, the race leader. Good observation from Nick there at the moment. He's sitting nicely in this race at the moment, just on the precipice of the top 12 there. Everyone in. Well, not everyone, but a good bulk of the field making their way in now for a pit stop. And this will shake things up.
I think it's opportune, particularly with such a long race, that the tyres, I mean, plenty of fuel, but the tyres will certainly go off late in the race.
Well, that was the thing. You said right at the get-go, didn't you, Paul, that we should be okay. This is before we came on air. We should be okay on fuel. It was tyres that was going to be the concern.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there are spec tyres from memory. So they're a grooved road legal tyre. And I think over time, obviously, such a tough track. That last turn, obviously, coming onto the front straight is really tough on the rear left.
We just saw one of these cars spin behind the safety car at turn 4 or turn 5 on the exit coming out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to tell you who it was.
Leon might be one of the newer drivers, so.
Yeah, it's not like the 80s where you had to drive around the tow trucks on the circuit. You've got to actually fall up behind that thing. That's fantastic.
Zach, we've had a request for an East Lake impression.
An East Lake impression. Oh, don't worry. Really plenty where that came from when the stock cars go racing at Daytona. Hang around for that. That doesn't surprise me. Was that on Twitch that came through?
No, that was Nick Cook on Facebook.
Ah, yes. Ah, I've only just seen that comment come through. Hello to Cookie. I have to say, I've spent many a day sitting out in a Bathurst media centre where Nick's been doing on-track commentary and I've been doing a radio cross, and I've usually been able to be heard from there, allegedly soundproof. So that's why he'd be asking for an East Lake impression. Hang around, Cookie. You'll get one soon enough. He's a great man. The great thing that this does now, obviously, a safety car period here bunches the field back up, and we get to go back racing very, very shortly. We're just sorting the field back out now so that the safety car has the leader. Of course, there were a couple of lapped cars making their way around to join at the back of the field. And
did not take tyres. Everybody behind him, Michael Hammond, Ricky Bobby, Joe Baldwin, Laser Dave Farrelly, myself, we've all taken tyres. So
yeah, that's a strategy call, isn't it? Shane's hopefully he thinks he can get through on tyres.
And that was where we were before Rob chimed in to talk about Cookie's comment there on Facebook. It was always going to be a gamble because 40-minute race, a track that does chew the tyres a little bit compared to the fuel. So the last couple of weeks that we've gone racing here, we've been talking about fuel more so than tyres. This week we're talking tyres over fuel. So a nice variant to the gameplay here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to try and do that with the production series. We might change it up each week, and you might be a tyre strategy, it might be a fuel strategy, it might be both.
Indeed. Now, what have we got? Field's still bunching.
18 minutes to go.
Field's still bunching up. Yeah, 17, 18 minutes. I was going to say the clock's disappeared off my screen for the moment, but it'll come back very shortly. Big thanks to the people at All Certs and LJ Hooker Gaindar and Subaru Central Coast that you can see on your screen there.
Okay, we're getting
Safety
ready.
car off. Getting ready to go back racing, ladies and gentlemen. Hang with us. This is about to get really interesting. The restart is critical. What can Hammond do coming from the mid-pack? What can those that gambled with not taking tyres do? Let's go back racing. To turn one, the 007 straight up on the inside. That didn't take long at all. Hammond back to the lead. To turn 5. The double apex corner that takes them up towards turn 6 and 7. Through Dunlop. Under the bridge. Already our top two have restored order here.
I think you can see tyres. Shane's having a big problem keeping the car in a straight line coming out of the corner, so his tyres are obviously shot.
So that proved to be, he took the gamble, and all credit to him for that, but it has backfired immediately. Hammond will lead this field down to turn 12. There he goes. Bobby's tucked in behind. How was the restart from your standpoint, Nick? Oh, sideways! We're on board for the ride. Onto the grass and back onto the track. Boy, oh boy. That was a big moment. But thankfully, no crash. Green flag stays out, race back on. Let's go to Nick very quickly. How'd you see the restart from your angle, mate?
Tyres were the thing to have. We just pounced on, who was it again? We just pounced on him.
Chris Green, I think.
And I'm now having a battle here with Joe Baldwin, and we're keeping Sammy busy now, so it looks like Mikey's getting a bit of a lead now. He's got, what's that, 1.5 seconds lead now?
Yeah, I've just caught 5. It was the 313 Simon Ferris that we were on board with that had the moment and going onto the main straight there, folks. I only just was able to pick up the numbers. Our director went back to a track shot rather than the onboard. Hammond's opened up a nice little lead there, though. He's biggest of the night over Bobby. Baldwin's jumped up into third, but he gets touched and turned around. So that'll cost him 3, 4, 5, probably 7 positions there. And there might be a little bit of redress going on as well. Back to the 017 there now. That's Chris Stark. He's, I think that'll move him up into third spot in all of that. Chasing down Bobby and Hammond. So Stark's the big winner of that contact at turn 1. And we hadn't really seen much of that so far, Paul. That was the first real car-to-car contact that resulted in a spin that was spotted so far tonight. There have been a few off-track excursions, but that was the first car-to-car contact that we've spotted.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've seen any other contact. I mean, it's one of those things. I think Nick was trying to get it up the inside and just probably braked a little bit later, or Joe braked a bit earlier than he expected. But as normal in this club, Nick regressed and let Joe get past again. So that's what it's all about.
In the greater scheme of things, both of them lose out in that regard, though, of course, which is unfortunate for their race. They were sitting there in the top 5.
He covered me, and I was already too committed, as always happens. Can't really back out of those ones, which I'm
no.
I hope this only just touches him, but it was enough to spin him round, so I had to wait.
Yep, fair enough, mate.
Enough pace, definitely, to get back up 2-3 spots for sure.
Your tyres are getting there, though. That's a problem.
Don't forget to hang around, folks. Stock cars coming up from the Daytona Road Course, Daytona Beach, Florida. We're going across the Atlantic as soon as we're done. In Japan, the Tsukuba circuit throwing up a beauty tonight. Hammond's got the lead at the moment. Bobby there second. Margin the biggest of the night, just over 1.8 seconds at the moment. Maybe a little bit more than that now as they come back around onto the main strut. Another lap in the books. And what have we got? About 13 and a half minutes to go on the motor race. If that.
About 2.3, and then Chris Green's about 4.4 behind Sammy, behind Michael.
I was going to say, Green, the big winner in all of that kerfuffle at the restart there, so he's sitting up there in third and doing a nice job. Hammond the leader, and this has been a really good showing from Bobby as well, sitting there in second spot. We'll pick up our leaders again shortly, I'm sure.
With a couple of our admin doing really well, Chris Polly and Gerard Daly and Pete Matson, all 3 admin guys there, and also Michael Porter is one of the admin. So they're doing well.
And there they are. Porter was lucky not to be, obviously, earlier in the race, Porter was sitting there around where Nick was, so he's avoided all the trouble off the restart there, so he got lucky in all of that. Hammond, we go on board with the 007. There's for anyone that's wondering, you might see throughout the race a little bit later on if we pan to a shot of this. I can't remember the number, but there is a car running the Scooby-Doo livery, the Scooby-Doo van livery in this race. So any old-time Scooby-Doo cartoon fans, you'll be loving that tonight.
Pete Matson, so car number 173, position 7.
So running all right in position number 7
Battle
there.
pack. Oh, Michael Porter sideways. Michael Porter's up. Oh. We all missed him.
And we missed it as well, but we saw him lose 2 spots there on the exit, and there's the car that we were talking about earlier. How good's that? 7th spot at the moment. So you guys are just behind that 8th and 9th, and then Porter's been relegated to 10th in all of that sideways through turn 7. And that was a talking point coming into the race. Nick and I were looking at the track in the lead up to the call, and we said watch out for turn 7 as well. Not necessarily an overtaking standpoint, but certainly a trouble point of the circuit, and it has been so far. There have been a couple of cars run off the circuit or get taily through there. Porter, the latest of them, right here, right now. And we're grateful that you're tuning in and spending your Friday night with us, folks. Of course, we're 1 week closer to some of the freedoms of life being returned to normal. Of course, after the National Cabinet meeting in Canberra today, some of you will be able to go and visit your mums for Mother's Day on Sunday, some not. But a big happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there. We hope you have a huge day on Sunday and enjoy that immensely. And
yeah, absolutely, Zach. Very important point. I think this Sunday, if you can go and visit your mum, fantastic. If they're in another state, then like my mum, happy Mother's Day, mum.
Yeah, I've already stitched Mum up tonight because Mum's a Canterbury Bulldogs supporter, and they're showing a replay on Fox tonight of the 09 preliminary final where they lost to Parramatta. I said, tune in and watch that. You'll have some fun. Yeah, I am cruel like that, aren't I? But no, I said that I'd talk to her on Sunday. The pain in the backside for me at the moment is that we're stuck in Queensland and the Premier's got no aspirations of opening the borders anytime soon. No intention at all. So we'll have to catch up later on in the year. Back to the race, though.
You can't let those cockroaches come across the border.
No. Letting me across in 2018 was bad enough. So have a look at this, folks. We've got about 10 minutes left in the motor race here. And we'll get an update, an in-race update from Nick in just a moment. Looks like you've got a real fight on your hands for the last 10 minutes, mate.
Yeah, this group has just kind of stabilised at where we're at. No one's making any inroads on anybody else. So I'm really trying to push hard, but I think we've all got the same tyre life. Yeah, I really want to get to the top 5, but anyway, we'll see how...
Indeed. Car pulling off into pit lane there as well.
Big shout out to Chris Polly again. He actually, the supercars last night, or the big bangers, Chris was the biggest mover. He's done it again tonight, 24th to 6th.
And that was probably just on your screen there, the 085, the blue car, heading into turn 1. Just ahead of the 173, of course, the Scooby-Doo inspired entry. And that's, of course, Peter Matson, for those of you playing along at home. A reminder.
Brent Cooper off at the inside hairpin.
And
pretty hard.
We just saw that at the top of your, at the bottom of your screen there,
From
folks.
fourth.
We'll have to go back and have a look at that in just a moment, but that'll change the order at the top of the field there. And that's that helps you in a way, Nick, because you're closing in on this. What is it, 5th, 6th and 7th area? Yep. That's you in 8th at the moment. So this will be, and that's obviously helped. That moment there for, we missed the car, but that moment's allowed Polly move up into the top 5, the 173 and the 6th, and you, of course, there in 8th spots. So if the three cars ahead of you get embroiled in the the 173 has found the wall at 12 on the inside onto the main straight. Nat sees Nick move into 7th. They're all moving out of the way for you, mate.
Zach, can you do a Scooby-Doo impression?
No, I cannot. It's been too long since I was
Rock roll.
There you go.
Very nice. Very good.
Very good, Rob.
The cars are getting a bit more taily, and I think people are just getting caught out by it. Now the tyres get worn. So we got myself, Joe Baldwin, and Chris Polly in a group now. So,
yep.
Looks like Joe's got one.
We're following you at the moment, Nick. Here's your chance, mate. Up the inside on the run to 12. Can you get the nose of the car up the inside? Possibly not. The 25 just covering the line there for you. Colby Callum. So here we go, around onto the main straight.
It's Joe Baldwin in front.
Joe Baldwin, my apologies. No, I've got a different number on my list here, so apologies for that. Different name and number anyway. We'll work that out. So Polly at the top of this group, Nick at the bottom,
and Joe in the middle.
Joe in the middle. A three-way fight here right now. This is going to be fun.
For a guy who hasn't driven in ages and moved, like you said, Paul, moved states, he's doing really well.
Yeah, he just setting himself up with a new 80/20 rig, so direct drive steering wheel and really nice rig. I think he's really happy to be back into the Gentleman's Racing Club and running with his mates, which is great.
Still about 2 seconds to the advantage of Michael Hammond at the front of this motor race as well, folks. There goes Polly wide, Joe's up the inside. And this will allow Nick an opportunity, I think, if he gets a good enough run through 12, to have a crack on Polly going into turn 1. No added pressure or anything, Nick, but we're riding with you at the moment.
All good.
Joe was wide. He used all the AstroTurf and a little bit more coming into the main straight. Oh, Nick tried to send it up on the inside of Polly. Couldn't get the job done. And he's a little bit wide and taily on the exit, and Polly will breathe a sigh of relief there as they head to turn 5. They're 4 and 5, the double apex left-hander there that brings them around into the middle of the circuit. This is an exciting battle.
That was good from Leon, getting out of the way there, a lap car.
This is for Is this 5th, 6th, and 7th, or 4th, 5th, and 6th now, this battle?
5, 6, 7.
5, 6, 7. Yeah.
5, 6, 7. So, Joe's at the front of the battle now. Polly's back in the middle. And Nick's in behind them, and they're all pushing it to the absolute limit, trying to find a way through. Trying to just outmuscle the other. And it's not easy. So evenly matched, these three at the moment. As you saw, that it took a slip up. It took the tiniest little lapse in concentration from Polly to allow Joe to get through. And now Nick tries to go down the inside, but again, not close enough. Hugs the ripple strip. We're riding on board with him out of turn 1 on the run up to 5 and 4, of course, before that. So 2, the left-hander, 3, the right-hander, the double apex left, 4 and 5, and then they head round to 6 in the Dunlop Bridge here.
You see how many lines you can take through that 5 and 6 corner, different lines, different people.
There's about 17 different lines through there for these cars. It's incredible. But the fact of the matter is that Nick's on track, trying to get himself another top 5 finish. He did this last week. At the moment, he's 7th. There's still time, unless he gets it back in, unless he loses the back end like that again. There's still time to get up into P5 in the latter stages here. On a circuit that we said wasn't as easy to overtake on compared to Okayama last week. He's still holding his own there in 7th at the moment. He's lost a little bit of ground on that lap. As we say, if you don't get the run onto the back straight right, it cruels your run down through 12 and around to turn 1. He's going to have to do the hard yards through the middle of the circuit here one more time. In the closing stages here, less than 4 minutes on the clock. Leader still Hammond, Bobby and Green. But it's a distant third for Green at the moment. 2.5 seconds first to second, or about that number. So Hammond's got the advantage here. We wait to see what might unfold in the closing stages. The 017, there he is. That's Chris Green, of course, third in the motor race. The leaders are around along the start main straight now. Start-finish line. On the run to turn 1. They have 13 seconds to their advantage. There's the 968. That's Sam Bobby, of course, or Katakazinos, as the name sheet tells us, but he goes by Bobby, just for the sake of commentator pronunciation.
And it just fits in the allowable square for the name.
Exactly. So, no, good on you, Sam. Going well in 2nd at the moment. There's Hammond, our race leader. 3 laps to go. And a great drive this has been, once again, from Michael Hammond. Didn't have any luck at Lime Rock Park a couple of weeks ago. What was it, 3 weeks ago now, when we brought you that round from Road America. The week after, he didn't have any luck there either. So he had 2 runs where luck befell him, and now the last 2 weeks he's been scintillating. The Asian leg of the championship has worked to his advantage. Have you got any clues or any circuit hints to drop for us for next week, Paul?
Oh, just go and check my roster. I'll be back in a moment.
Thank you, mate. I think the Asian leg of the championship may be behind us.
I think you're correct.
I hope you're enjoying the broadcast wherever you're tuning in from tonight. Those of you tuning in via Facebook Live, those of you tuning in via Twitch as well. Hit the subscribe button on Twitch. Hit the like button on the Facebook page for Doadrift, who are supplying the stream for us tonight. Touch base with Robert at the back end of the broadcast as well. Should also mention, folks, we're back with you on Monday night. The GT3, GT4 series. Looking forward to that immensely. And if memory serves, I believe we're on the Daytona Road Course for that as well. So
no, we're actually going to going to the Legacy Silverstone Historic GP.
Hey, okay, there you go. Someone said Daytona the other night, so Silverstone GP, that'll be good.
The historic, so the old circuit.
Yeah.
White flag.
That'll throw out some interesting racing, no doubt about that. So do join us for that on Monday night, and keep your eyes peeled to what's coming up. Oh, what have you done, Nick? We weren't on screen with you just then. Did you spin?
Spun it, yeah, last corner.
spun and flipped on my lid and is losing positions now.
That's your new nickname.
Nick's flip.
I don't want to take that away from Josh.
So, we're on the last lap. The white flag is out. Michael Hammond is on his way home. This has been a superb drive. Pretty well led all the way. Quick pit stop for tyres. Proved to be the right way to go. It worked to his advantage. As soon as the safety car peeled off the circuit, he took the lead of the motor race back within about 30 seconds. And from there, he was never headed. Hammond wins at Tsukuba. Nicely done. Gets the job done. And the margin over Bobby will end up being just under 2 seconds. That's a nice drive. We'll wait for the rest of the field to come through. Green will be third home on the running sheet there. And that was a very nice performance from Michael Hammond once more. He really has been the form driver of the production car series, Paul.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Mikey is one of those guys that can turn his hand to any car. He just has the ability to get a handle on it very quickly. Yeah, it's certainly one of the fastest drivers I've ever driven against.
Indeed. And Nick, unfortunately, it was going so well until the last lap for you.
Yeah, I wanted that top 5. So as the car got taily, I pushed that a little bit too hard on that final corner, and it gripped. Then it didn't grip. Then it gripped again, and then I met a wall. So had to do the final lap with a really bad wheel alignment, and I think I finished in 11th.
Not too bad in the end. Only lost, 4 positions on the last lap there, but flipping on your lid will do that. The Tsukuba circuit has delivered an absolute beauty tonight. And that's just leg 1 of the double header for you, ladies and gentlemen. The Gentlemen's Racing Club is about to switch across from the Pacific to the Atlantic, and look forward to bringing you all the action for the Stock Car Championship from Daytona and the famous road course there. That, of course, is more synonymous with the Rolex 24 at the start of the year than it is, of course, the 500 and the 400 miler for the NASCARs throughout. Now, lots to be excited about with...
Zach, just a quick one. I just got to do the clues for next week's production car round.
Yep.
So the track name rhymes with a football team in the UK. So that gives you a location. And the car is as I've said before, a world famous and very popular little soft top.
Okay. Pardon me. When you say soft top, I'm thinking Mazda MX-5 for some reason.
Correct.
Yeah. And as for the circuit, I'll try and think of that and come back to you a little bit later.
Think of a. I don't know if they're in the top tier of the.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah. I'm trying to go through the different tiers and figure that one out. But...
You'll work it out. I don't follow the football, but I know this name is certainly. It certainly sounds like a football club.
Okay. All right. We'll have a think about that as the night goes on. Actually, when you say would the football team be Birmingham?
Incorrect.
No, bugger. Because I was thinking Rockingham. That was the first one I thought.
You probably need to look at the track list on iRacing.
I probably need to look at I will do that indeed. We'll do that before the end of the night. We'll try and figure that one out for you, ladies and gentlemen. If not, I'm sure Paul will let us know by the end of the broadcast.
Absolutely,
now,
will do.
the great thing about that is, Michael Hammond again, dominant, and in the greater scheme of things, Nick, it was a relatively clean race. I'm sure you've got results there. You can run us through the top 10 now.
Well, if you can bear with me, maybe Nico, if you got them there.
Got them in front of me, yeah. So we have results. Michael Hammond, Sam Katakasinas in P2, 1.2 seconds behind. So fairly close finish there. Christopher Green, P4. Dales, or Jared Daly, P5. Joe Baldwin, as I said, dark horse. I think if he hadn't been caught up in that incident with Nico Pop, he may have been in for a top 3, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
No pressure there, Nick, by the way.
No, he would have been top 3. I was thinking about that on the last lap.
Chris Polly, again, great drive from 24th to 6th. So definitely 5 bonus points for Chris. Michael Porter in 7th. Laser Dave Farrelly in 8th. Brett Cooper in 9th, Shane Witt 10th. So Shane, obviously, I think Mikey said during practice that this was his bogey car, and I think that might be the case. And then Nico Pop, Josh Lid, Millard, and the rest of the field. So, yeah, awesome turnout tonight, guys.
Indeed it was. And Nick, it just goes to show, you were talking about worn tyres in the second stint, so it just went to show how savage the track was on tyres, and that pitting for a fresh batch halfway through was the right thing to do.
Yeah, look, I think it was a bit of follow the leader happening there, but new tyres was always going to win out. The fuel was not an issue. I think we still had at least 30 laps to go on that tank. So yeah, new tyres was the right call. I think I can't remember who it was that didn't pit. They were just trying to get a little bit better track position. But
Shane Witt. So he's finished in 10th.
Yeah, alas, it didn't work out in the end. But you live, you learn. Next round.
Correct. Indeed. We'll try and have a chat to a couple of these drivers in just a moment and find out how they all fared. And
I'll just jump in the other server and see if I can get them in here, mate.
Good idea, mate. Thank you. And see how they saw the race from their angle. I'm just having a look at the list of circuits on iRacing, and I'm not sure if my list is updated or not. I've just gone to a website that has them to try and work out exactly where we're heading to next week. But I'm sure if we don't figure it out, Paul will drop the hint by the end of the night.
I think we're going to see coming out of this period them inundated with requests for different tracks now that everyone's getting on board with it.
without doubt.
Everyone will want to see their local track on it. Hopefully, with all the extra money they're making from memberships, they can get some teams out there and start working on some new tracks.
Yeah, I think it's a very big process. So laser scanning a track, which all these tracks are laser scanned. So every bump, every part of the track is laser scanned. It's obviously quite a process. So
QR and Lakeside were done for R Factor. So a bit of a understanding of how they do it all.
I watched a Dale Earnhardt video, and he was saying that him and the developer were saying it takes about $100,000 to do a track properly.
Wow. Okay. 6
months at least.
We have Zach. We have Joe Baldwin, who we spoke about during the broadcast, who's just got back up and running after moving to WA. He's got his new sim rig put together, 80/20, I believe. Joe.
Yeah, it certainly is. How are you guys? What a great car track combo.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Joe. Small cars, small circuit, worked a treat, and your drive was very much on track for a podium finish until that incident with Nick at turn 1, but a great performance from you all the same. It looked like you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, I certainly did. Hey, look, Nick and I, we go way back. There's been a bit of give and take both ways over the years, and then no harm, no foul. Those things happen, and hey, look, never had much qualifying or practice, and I think I went 14th to 3rd to 11th or something, and then wherever I finished, I'm not even sure where it was.
Yeah, I think it was, where was it in the end, Nick, that Joe ended up? Was it just inside the top 8 there?
I think you were 4th or 5th.
Yeah, a very nice performance.
Oh, cool. Nah, thanks for that, guys. Yeah, it was definitely good fun, though.
It certainly was, and the boys were saying that you spent a little bit of time away from the simulators, but getting back into the swing of things now. Does it take a great deal of time to get your eye back into this sort of thing?
It does. Look, I spent 3 months away. Like, I moved interstate from basically Townsville to Bunbury in WA, like about as far as you can move in Australia. Exactly. And, after 3 months away, getting back in, I did an official race the other night, and I quite frankly sucked. But it's the more time that you spend in, it comes back. It's like riding a bike, I suppose. It's, sort of probably 90, 95% of where I normally am, I guess. So I'm pretty happy with that for the limited amount of laps I've done.
Yeah, not a bad performance at all, mate. You should be happy with that. And as we say, promising signs there for the weeks ahead as well.
The question, mate, is have you had a chance to drive down past the beaches since you've been there?
I have, but hey, not allowed to go for a walk on them, right?
You better stay back for now. But it gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah, certainly does. So, no, hey, look, thanks for the broadcast, guys. It's it's a great thing that's been organised with through the GRC. So, yeah, no, welcome aboard. It's great to see you. I've been around for a while, so it's good to see it grow.
And good to have you back on board, mate. Enjoy the West. And that last question about the beaches, that comes from Rob, who's synonymous with WA before moving to the East Coast. So he's no doubt chomping at the bit to get back over to WA at some point as well. Jared Daly's in the chat room as well. So too Chris Polly. Go to Jared first, mate. What'd you make of the race from your standpoint? That looked like fun.
Yeah, I think I've taken my first breath in about 40 minutes, to be honest. It's that last couple of times I could see Nico Pop coming up behind me, and then especially at the end with Joe and Chris behind me as well. It was just the pressure was definitely there. And another great race with Chris tonight too. It was awesome fun.
Yeah, Nick pushed the thing too hard in the end and come unstuck. But from your standpoint, a nice performance. The talking point tonight was tyre wear. How difficult was the car on the tyres at the back end of the race, even though mostly everyone stopped for a fresh batch at halfway.
Yeah, I was one of the ones that followed. Yeah, I was one of the ones that followed the leader. Figured if they're going in, I'm definitely going in too, and it did pay off. I could definitely feel it slide in the last 5 or 6 laps. That was cost me a decent amount of time.
Indeed, and as for the cars and the circuit, what'd you make of the combo tonight?
Oh, brilliant.
Yep.
Perfect car. Like just little twitchy, little slidey, just good fun.
The Mazda MX-5 awaits you next week, from what Paul's just told us on the broadcast a short while ago, so that'll be good fun.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
I haven't solved the clue as to what circuit we're going to, but I'm working on that as we go.
If you pry it out of him, let me know.
We certainly will let you know, mate. Congratulations. Nice performance. We've got to move on here because we're obviously getting ready to go to the NASCAR portion of the evening. Let's go to Chris Polly very quickly, mate. You were one of the lucky ones. Qualifying wasn't so kind to you, but you drove through the field superbly. That was a good drive. Well done.
Yeah, no, I was a little bit caught up during qualifying, so I know we've got to put a time in. But I just sort of held back, just drove through the carnage. There was a few instances along the way, and I just dodged my way through and got to a point where I knew I had a couple of people following me that were probably a little bit faster, but I tried to hold them off as long as I could, and just
Indeed. I was going to say, overtaking, we mentioned at the start, when you compare the circuits last week to this week, this one probably not as easy for overtaking, but as you say, once the incident started to play out, it really helped you work your way through. All you had to do was avoid the carnage.
Yeah, no, that's it. It was really good. Had a few good battles through there. A couple of times I thought I was going to get taken. But no, it was a really good race. I really enjoyed it.
And just for the clarification of everyone listening, when you say you were a little bit caught up in qualifying, was that caught up not being able to put a lap down because of traffic, or was it other circumstances?
Off-track circumstances.
Off-track circumstances. I thought that might have been the case. I just wanted to clarify that. But no, mate, well done. Nice performance and good points all to take into next week.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Dave Farrell is also in the chat room. Quickly to you, mate. We didn't get to see much of you on the screen tonight, so let's hear about the race from your standpoint. What'd you make of it?
I was actually doing all right until I stuffed it.
Doing all right until. There's always a but or an until.
Yeah, I was running
talk
up
us through the incident.
Top 6. I made it to after the pit stop. Yeah, just cold tyres. I think second lap after we got going again, and just got a little bit loose and around that hairpin, and around she went.
Yeah,
I think I come back to 9th or 8th at the end. Thanks to Nick. Thanks, mate. First rule of racing, remember, beat your team, mate.
That's it. Nick, do you want to fire some questions Dave's way?
What happened in your little incident, Dave? What was going on there? Was it 10-1, was it?
No, mate. The second one up the back there in the middle of
the hairpin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just got a bit loose. Everyone was behind me, so I thought I just can't keep this there. I've got to get it off the track.
So half spin and just like, I'm gonna.
Yeah, just a lazy one, you know those ones.
Exit stage left. Yeah. I did that on the second last lap. Fair enough. And how have you been enjoying the production car series?
Yeah, good tonight. Made some great passes actually. It's actually won't be on film, but outside last turn round Pete Matson.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
You might have to send us a replay.
Mate, that's not bad because the great thing, Nick, is we're talking about the places where you overtake and where you can't overtake around here. When we look at Dave saying you can overtake around the outside at 12, that's bravery.
Yes, it is. It's very fast. Very hard to get 2 cars in there. Good. Well done, Dave.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, it was good fun. Really enjoyed it. I'll speak to you all next week.
No worries, mate. Thank you for that. Dave.
Hey, no worries, fellas.
And I'm just getting word through. Quali done for our stock car race, which is coming up next. Of course, we take you from the Tsukuba circuit in Japan to the Daytona International Speedway. And this will be an absolute belter tonight. There's a lot of concern around what's going to happen at turn 1 as these big, muscly stock cars accelerate across the start-finish line and then slam on the brakes for that tight turn 1 portion of the circuit as they head into the infield section. Let's find out about how qualifying unfolded and go and have a chat to Nick about this, mate, because you're jumping across from one server to the other to have a look at this. And we'll get a live feed coming as well. But a big field for this one, as per usual. I think the appeal's always there when you look at Daytona and stock cars. It's always a bucket list sort of thing, but the road course is going to make things a little bit more interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's actually caught a couple of people out applying for race seats and thinking it was the oval. So now they have to turn right as well, which, I mean, this oval made these cars. So now we're going to go to the infield and see how they go. This is a road racing series at the end of the day.
Well, this is exactly right. Just having a look, we've got some qualifying times coming in here. Relatively small field by the look at this, actually, tonight. There's 15 times lodged here on our sheet. No real surprise. We could have a field of up around 21 when we go racing. There's a few guys that have clocked the time in practice, but not in quali. Glenn Postlethwaite, 146.6, 4/10 clear of Cal Watmore, 3/10 clear then of Chris Whitaker and John McLaughlin, 4th. So 0.9 of a second, yeah, almost separating the top 5 there. Sam Collins, Michael Schreier, I should say. Brock Payne up there in position number 8, and then 7, I should say. Then looking back through the rest of the field, you got Jezzy, you got Trent Laves, and then you've got Yanni as well there in position number 10. So it's a smaller field than we'd probably expect for a circuit like this with so much history, Nick, but we're not lacking in any quality in any way, shape or form here. This is a top-notch field that'll do battle over 50 minutes or so tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. The gearing is actually, first off, the horsepower is full horsepower, whereas at this track, when they go around the oval, they use a restrictor plate.
Yeah.
So the top speed is actually higher than what they do when they do the oval themselves. So there's going to be some good draft battles happening. There may be some fuel conservation happening. There'll definitely be some racing, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see, especially this turn 1. It's going to be a bit of a lottery, I think.
Nick, just an admin question. Are we having the iRacing safety car?
Yes.
Do you want to flip me the number?
Oh, yep. Random number generator.
If anyone just saw that,
number generator. How good's that?
It looked like our safety car just rolled and then fixed itself. So just letting everyone know the driver's fine.
It does do that at Bathurst as well. Coming down the elbow, it certainly runs into the wall and then keeps going.
Yep. Field lining up on the main straight here at Daytona. So normally we see the field lining up, halfway around the circuit. Not here at Daytona. We're lining up on the main straight, so we'll have a full lap behind the course car before we get things underway here. And thank you to Rob, who's just sent me through a feed of Daytona Beach, Florida, where we've got a nice field lining up for our second race of the night. And apologies, it's the voice Fox is already a little bit croaky from the first race, but we'll soldier on through as best we can. Excuse me, for this second race here. The iRacing course car ready to lead the field off. And we'll get this race underway. So, Glenn Postlethwaite and Cal Watmore on the front row. Chris Whitaker and John McLaughlin on the second row. And so the heavyweights of this championship right there from the outset. And a reminder, of course, that this race is on the 12-turn road course circuit. And just to give you an idea, compared to, of course, the oval here,
I don't know if anyone's noticed, just quickly, Zach, just something a bit funny I've noted. Mate. Facebook has automatic subtitles that seem to be struggling with the Australian accent a bit. It's quite funny.
Very much so. Very much so. I don't know why they're automatic subtitles. It's not as though we're talking Swahili.
Well, apparently you just said they're going to struggle with the olive oil here. So,
yeah.
Can you say...
I don't know how that's happening.
Throw another shrimp on the barbie, mate.
Cars moving off on the formation lap now. 5.73 kilometres. That's the number I was looking for. 5.73 kilometres on the road course here at Daytona. So, I mean, when you look at some of the circuits we've visited already, I mean, Road America's played host to some of the racing we've brought you over the last few weeks. We've got Mount Panorama ahead. We've had Spa last week. So this is right up there in terms of length with those circuits. But a little bit quicker in terms of time because, you know, the run from turn 6 around to turn 8 is on the banked oval. Same with the run out of turn 11 around to turn 1. So they make up speed of the lap pretty quick around this circuit. It's going to be interesting to see how the brakes fare because we're not used to seeing the brakes slowing down at Daytona. How the brakes fare on a circuit like this.
I think we'll see some brake fade, particularly with turn 1.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You'll see some brain fade from some of these guys. We'll see how that goes.
Well, that's yeah, exactly.
I think we have 21 starters. 22, is it? Yeah, okay.
So 22 starters. That's not too bad, considering that there were 15 lodge of time in qualifying. And is it Glenn Postlethwaite's night to bounce back, Nick? Is that what we're looking at here, or is it Cal Watmore's time to shine? What about Trent Laves? Chris Whitaker, can he go back to back? A lot of stuff to play out over the next 50 minutes here.
Yeah, looking at the practice times, there wasn't much between Callum Watmore and Glenn Postlethwaite over 5.7 kilometres. So, yes, Glenn got a 4/10 jump in qualifying, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than that.
Yeah.
Thing to watch and see. So, we'll see how that goes.
Also, the draft is going to have a big effect too, isn't it? So, it could be within, half a second to a second, and the draft is really going to help you get the open section.
And save fuel as well. So. We'll see how that goes.
Stock car racing on a Friday night. How good's this going to be? Friday morning, Daytona Beach, Florida. And we are racing for 25 laps around here tonight. So let's just do some calculations here for you too, ladies and gentlemen, so that those of you playing along at home know exactly what we're looking at here over the course of the next hour or so. It'll be less than an hour by the time we get to the checkered flag. 5.73 kilometre circuit, 25 laps the distance, 143.25 kilometres of stock car racing from the world centre of racing, of course, the Daytona International Speedway, but it's a little bit of a difference tonight because it's the road course. More famous for the Rolex 24-hour endurance race. Now it's going to play host to some stock car racing. This is going to be good. So who do you think, Nick, if you were to put your money on it, who wins?
Oh, jeez. You don't want to put the mocker on anybody, but I reckon I'm going to stick my neck out and say, you know what, if something's going to happen in the front three, I reckon number 17.
John McLaughlin. Rightio. We'll keep an eye on that.
I'm actually going to put my money on Gazza.
All right.
Gary Cousins.
And we have a green flag.
Green flag and racing. dot cars from Daytona, and Impulsive White jumps across in front of Carl Watmore and takes the early lead as they run into turn 1. Now here's where we're expecting maybe a little bit of trouble. McLaughlin already wide. A little bit of argy-bargy and contact further back in the pack, but by the look of what we're seeing, everyone's got safely through.
Last time I call a number on somebody, hey. We will have to watch off tracks around here, especially on the exit of the bus stop. There will be slowdowns happening there, so if we do see somebody slowing down quite rapidly, it could be because it all looks pretty clean and straightforward here.
Brendan Whitaker had an off coming into turn 2, I think.
So Whitaker already in trouble early. Postlethwaite's got the lead as they head up to the exit of the infield section of the circuit. They'll hit the tri-oval for the first time. And Postlethwaite's got 3 car lengths on Watmore. He won't be able to take too much of an advantage of the slipstream effect from that far back.
Interesting to see. I reckon these front two will get away from everybody. That's just my gut feeling.
Okay. Follow that with interest. As they head down towards the bus stop section of the circuit. Turns 8, 9, 10 and 11 in very quick succession.
Sammy Bobby doing double duty.
So he's just jumped straight across, starting at the back of the field as a result of that, I dare say. And that's the difficult thing, because it's such a tight turnaround between races, you miss out on qualifying in one race for the benefit of racing both events on a Friday night. So we'll watch Sammy Bobby come through the field here as they head across the line, 1 down and 24 to go.
I would say most of the guys have put in some practice during the week. Obviously, this is a tough track with these cars, so I would suggest they have put some time in.
Very definitely, especially with these long duration, scrub tyres out pretty quick smart. So the guys that have done a lot of practice will be onto that and would have figured out a way to minimise the wear or maybe diamond off some of these hairpins.
Doesn't matter, whenever you go racing at Daytona, a big crowd follows. Have a look at that. Not too much social distancing happening there as they head into the last of the infield hairpins before they come up to the exit of the infield of the circuit and back around onto the tri-oval for what is the second of 25 times here. Very empty pit lane at the moment, but it'll get busy at some point here because fuel will be a talking point, as will tyres. And then, as we say, being in the right place at the right time is also important around here. The problem is we're not seeing that pack racing we normally associate with the Daytona circuit because of the inclusion of the road course section. That really does change the whole complexion of a race, because we all know that all these guys are very good at turning left and can do the oval portion of the circuit absolutely fine without any trouble at all. The problem is going to be who's the master of the out of the infield section where you've got to turn left and right as well.
Pretty sedate first lap.
Pretty sedate 2 laps actually, yeah, not much trouble to speak of. Possibly the leader from Watmore and Whitaker.
A couple of incidents, nothing serious at this stage.
Of course, you're now in race admin duties as well, Paul, so you'll keep us posted on if there are any penalties applied.
Yeah, I'm focusing on crashes at the moment. There's very little report, which is great.
Again, the difference between the road course and the oval, I'd have to say, if it was the oval, I wouldn't be so confident that we could get through this without any crashes. We usually wait for what they call the big one, but it's not likely to be a big one here tonight.
Just looking on my timing screen, Jason Lee is dropped 20 seconds back off the last car. He must have had a spin or something. Car's got a little bit of damage.
Yeah, also Sam Collins' car has got a little bit of rear end damage, so his aero might be affected.
And that's a big talking point, of course, when you talk about that potential for slipstreaming and drafting around here, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of aero damage. It looks like his rear bumper and his rear wing probably pushed up a bit, so it might slow his top speed there.
Around they come.
Sam, of course, running the Coolidge Engineering TA2 livery on his stock car.
And what a great looking livery that is. It's got the chrome effect to it. Awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic. And it's always well presented in real life as well. They do a fantastic job in presenting those cars. Basic livery compared to some that you see, but always well presented are the Coolies. Have a look at the tilt on race cam there. As we head around onto the main straight one more time. Glenn Possibly, the leader. He's opened up 3 seconds over Carl Watmore. He's a second and a half clear of Whittaker at the moment. We're on board with the entry running the 7-up livery at this point in time.
Adam Laves? Yeah, Adam Laves.
So Adam's out there. Interesting, we'll have to find out where our regular protagonists are in just a moment. 3 of them are right where we expect them to be. 1, 2, and 3. Sideways moment there.
Brendan Whittaker is down the field as well, so he must have had he's having a moment at turn 1 as well. Sorry, that's not on screen. Just looking at some of these names.
I was going to say it was Sammy Bobby having a sideways moment out of turn 2 on the run to turn 3, and another car at the back, a shot there also sideways at the first of the hairpins around here, which is of course turn 3.
Guess Ward's looking a little banged up on camera at the moment.
Yeah, he's had a couple of hits.
Was that Kester that smashed it to the cones, the track cones there a few minutes
Sammy
ago?
Bobby ran wide at the fast kink and brought them onto the track in front of Adam Laves and Kester Ward.
Your idea.
I'm just watching an instant with Trent Laves and Michael Schreier, I think it is. So I'm just going to review that.
All right. I'm sure you'll let us know what your findings are as well momentarily, Paul. Onto the back straight come the field one more time. Again, your leader is Glenn Postlethwaite. You're not going to see much of him tonight while he's 3.5 seconds clear of the pack. But the battle soon will be between Watmore and Whittaker, of course, for second and third here.
And just looking here, Ben Snell did a reasonable time in practice. Didn't do a qualifying time. He's worked his way from 17th up to 9th right now. We're only 5 laps.
Have a look at the banged up 35 there at the moment as well.
Yes, actually, if we do focus on that, I'm just trying to figure out what the sponsor is this week. Yes. Always keeping us on our toes. It looks very nice though. A lot of chrome down the side.
It is Dolly's dream. Do it for Dolly.
Yes, that's right. The hashtag Do It For Dolly. I noticed that and thought it had to be related. So yep. We'll get Chris to elaborate on his reason for choosing that very shortly. Of course, it has been in the news this week, but then there will be a personal attachment to that, I would assume. Now he's heading up towards turn 6 now.
John McLaughlin right on his tail.
And who rounds out the top 5 in all of that? Nick?
Mr. Brock Payne.
Brock Payne's having a good run. Sitting there in P5 at the moment. So, well, that's good.
Yeah, Brocky's improving week to week.
Absolutely he is. I mean, when you look at the top 5, 4 of them are expected to be there with Postlethwaite, McLaughlin, Whittaker, and also Watmore. But for Brock Payne to be punching with them, he'll be quite happy with that so far, the youngster. Now, Nico, we saw that you jumped into the stewards room there. What did you find?
Yeah, the stewards looked at that incident with Trent Laves. 15-second time, a 15-second post-race penalty for contact that caused an incident.
For Trent Laves, this is?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so Trent Laves is going to cop a 15-second post-race penalty that way. That'll hurt him at the end of the day. That's unfortunate. I must admit, when I'm in the Formula One PS4 mode that I usually get into on the single-player career game, I always go, if I've copped a 5-second post-race penalty, I always go into the pit lane because you can serve it there halfway through the race. No such luck with Trent in iRacing.
Postlethwaite's made a mistake into turn 1.
Yeah, now this is interesting.
And now he's got Callum Watmore all over him.
Yep, I just noticed that while I was finishing off the story there, and Glenn Postlethwaite now has pressure coming from all angles because there's Watmore, there's Whittaker, and there's McLaughlin. It's now a 4-way fight at the front of the field. And you said last week, before we even touched on this week's racing and everything else, that turn 1 here would be a make or break part of the lap. and it's already proven to be a big factor in how things play out here.
Yeah, 100%, because these things do not stop or turn too well, and you're having to do both into turn one. So,
fun at all.
Not much fun at all, and you're asking a lot of the tyre. So, yeah, these things go great in a straight line. So we'll see what happens. See if Glenn can compose himself and start doing what he did before, or if Callum Watmore now has the eyes on, he's got the tractor beam on him.
You're absolutely right. They do go very well in a straight line. Now, I believe we're off to motorsport next week, so we stay in North America when we go to Canada for motorsport next week. So a totally different circuit to what we're dealing with tonight. We're only 4 weeks away from visiting Mount Panorama Bathurst, of course. The final round of the championship. And in between, we've got Watkins Glen and one other circuit, don't we?
For these guys, we have Phillip Island.
Phillip Island, okay. So
Watkins Glen, Phillip Island, and finishing off with Bathurst.
Yeah, two Australian circuits to finish us off. That'll be fun. Add an Australian flavour to what's a uniquely American car and a series normally heavily associated with that part of the world. So we've been to all far-flung corners of the globe, and we're going to bring it down under to finish things off, and that's an exciting thing. Hello to those of you tuning in via Facebook Live this evening. Hello to those of you tuning in via Twitch. Having a live stream there as well. Let us know who you're barracking for at the moment. We ride with Callum Watmore out of turn 5, the run up to turn 6. And the biggest portion of the lap is now done in terms of time. The distance is made up here as you hit the oval. Your average speed picks up for the rest of the lap, only stopping for the bus stop section of the circuit, and then accelerating again out of turn 11 on the run through 12 around to turn 1 again. Callum Watmore's handling himself nicely tonight. He just hasn't been able to go with Postlethwaite. He needs another mistake from Glenn. He really does. Through turn 7, 8. Oh, sorry, 8, 9, 10, then 11. Out of there. Back onto the tri-oval, around the banking of turn 12 and back to the main straight. They come one more time. This will be like 7 in the books, folks. 18 to go. Daytona Beach, Florida. Stock cars on the road course on a Friday night for the Gentlemen's Racing Club, presented by Doadrift, and also our great friends at LJ Hooker Gainer and Central Coast Subaru as well. Oh, Postlethwaite's wide again at turn 1! For the second time in 3 laps, Postlethwaite's wide at 1. It didn't hurt him this time round because Watmore wasn't able to capitalise. But it's the second time that Glenn Postlethwaite has had trouble pulling the car up at turn 1. And I dare say, given everything we've spoken about so far tonight, it won't be the last.
Like his front right tyre's getting a bit tight because he is pushing quite hard there. So, and you saw in his recovery, he left a long black line from that front right. So, as much as Callum Watmore has those other 2 behind him, I think Glenn's tyres aren't looking too flash right about now.
And the safety car probably can't come quick enough for him on that note.
Yeah, we'll see what the safety car drops, and then we'll see what happens with fuel strategy and tyre strategy. Do you take 4, do you take 2, do you take none?
Well, judging by what we're seeing thus far, I think 4 would be a sensible option. But then again, from a time standpoint, you've got to take that into consideration as well. Time and track position.
Yeah, and
you know,
and judging by what Glenn has said over the previous weeks, he hasn't filled the car right the way up, take a shorter stop, and he's been dividing the race into smaller segments. So we'll see what happens.
Indeed, we will. Through the banking section of the circuit they go. Back around onto the main straight here. Across the start-finish line, another lap in the books. Lap 9 begins. Postlethwaite's still the leader. Now watch it going into turn 1. Postlethwaite's got it pulled up that time, but he's totally sideways through the corner. And Watmore closes up. Watmore closes up. He's now only about 2.5 car lengths away, and Postlethwaite's into defence mode. Look at the smoke billowing off the tyre as he hits turn 4. well. Just extraordinary what's happening here right now. Postlethwaite struggling on rubber in the opening half of the race here, and lap traffic starting to play a part as well.
Yeah, it's good with that lap traffic to get out of the way. Had to really jump out of the way. But I'm just on board myself watching from Glenn's on board, and any left-hander that puts load on that right-hand tyre, he's struggling.
So at the moment, you'd have to say it's advantage Carl Watmore right here as they head round onto the back straight. What a sight it is, Daytona Beach, Florida. You'd just love to get there and tick it off the bucket list, wouldn't you? It's one of those signature venues in world motorsport. It wouldn't matter if it was the 24 or the 500. Just be there trackside is one of the things you've got to do in life as a motorsport fan. Through the banking at turn 12 they go now. And around onto the main straight now. Let's ride with Carl Watmore. That was beautiful timing from our director. To watch Glenn Postlethwaite. Here they come into the lane. Glenn Postlethwaite leads the field into pit lane. Big moment here. Because we know Glenn's struggling on those tyres. It'll be interesting to see what the strategy is, who takes 4, who takes 2. And what they do with regards to their fuel load as well. And is that suggesting, Nick, that at 9 of 25, this is going to be a 2-stop race?
I would dare say so. I don't see anybody that's gone through. So yeah, it looks like it will be. And Glenn's out already.
That was a quick stop from Postlethwaite. Back out onto the track.
I reckon fuel and just right side tyres, I think.
That was extremely quick from Glenn Postlethwaite. He's put 3 seconds on the pack there. And then some.
I think then some. I think everybody pitted. I'm going to have to have a look at the field here.
I saw one car go through, but that may have been a car that was a lap down. I'm not sure. Now, this will be interesting to see how it all plays out when they get around to sector 1. And onto the back straight. Some beautiful overhead shots of what's happening there in Daytona. The yellow flag is out, just came through my earpiece. But that means that you could have run the risk and gone a lap longer and then come into pit, but everyone's come into pit and now the yellow's been thrown. That really mixes things up.
That was the idea.
The caution flag is out.
Looks like Nicholas Windsor's in the lead, but I would dare say he's going to have to pit. And under these safety car rules, pit lane is closed. And if you guys can see that on screen, he's just gone through the bus stop on the grass. So we'll see what happens here.
We missed it on our feed, but yes, that was bound to happen at some point. And now the field will bunch itself up. I was going to say the field will bunch itself up behind the safety car and the race will be back on. So everything Glenn Postlethwaite gained in that pit stop he's now lost because he's going to have Callum Watmore right on his bumper bar as we get back to green.
I think Nicholas Windsor doesn't know what's going on here. He's actually coming to a complete stop, so the field is now having to drive past him. So we'll see how this goes. And now he's disappeared. So
this will be very interesting to see how all this plays out.
He's run out of fuel.
Oh no! So that was another talking point, the fuel load, and he's just tried to run the gauntlet a little bit too far. So observations from you two gentlemen so far. Obviously, it's a 4-way fight at the head of the field. The 4 men that were right at the pointy end in qualifying have delivered so far in the race, and it looks as though this could be a night where Glenn Postlethwaite doesn't have it all his own way.
Exactly what I was about to say. I don't think he's going to have it all his own way tonight. He's just lock a front left, lock a front right under braking, and Callum Watmore was just right there. Sometimes when Glenn has drifted wide at turn 1, he just hasn't been close enough to take advantage of it. It'll be interesting to see. I think Glenn might have 2 or 3 tenths in hand, but it means nothing when you start losing time under brakes or drifting wider in the corner. So we'll see how this pans out.
We certainly will. Your observations so far, Paul?
Yeah, it's been very exciting, hasn't it? Very good driving stance, considering these cars are pretty hard to drive in the best of times, but this track particularly at turn 1 braking area, I thought the driving respect in the first couple of laps was amazing, like really good. Yeah, really happy so far. It's been a good race.
I just wanted to say as well, guys, if
Yes,
you
Rob?
want us to follow anyone, chuck it in the chats on Facebook or Twitch. Obviously, the battle at the front is so close that it's hard for me to pull back to the rest of the race at the moment.
I was about to say that very same thing.
But I'll do my best. If you can throw some numbers out that you want to ride on board with, that you want to see, just let me know what you want, and I'll do my best to get to them when I can.
Yeah, Rob, I think focus on Ben Snellavision. Snellavision, he's got his own Twitch channel as well, but he's one of those guys that very quiet achiever. He's keep an eye on him.
Will do.
There we go. And I was going to say, Rob, from my standpoint, it's almost as though you need that vision shot that the television has, where you can have 2 or 3 screens showing at once. There's that much going on out there at the moment.
Look, I leave it with me. I'll see what I can do. Not tonight, though.
Someone's requested Nicholas Windsor as well, so.
All right, we'll keep our eyes on that. A lot to play out here, ladies and gentlemen. The lights on the safety car, I'm waiting for them to go off. And when it peels off, the race will be back on. It'll be Postlethwaite v Watmore v Whitaker v McLaughlin. I cannot wait to speak to the 4 of them at the end of this, irrespective of what happens here. This is going to be absolutely fantastic, this final 12, 13 laps or so here at Daytona. The United States turning it on for us on a Friday. The lights appear to still be on the course car here. And this is interesting because, look, Glenn Postlethwaite dived his nose into pit lane and said, no, I've decided against that. Now, will that be a decision that comes back to bite him? Let's wait and see. Another lap behind the course car. Probably gives us a good opportunity, actually, while we are in this interval, to talk about everything else that's coming up, boys. We're waiting, of course. I've got an idea of what the track might be for the production car race next week, but I'm going to hold off on that and see if someone else is thinking on the same ballpark as me, because I could be well wide of the mark. But as far as Monday night's concerned, we're going to the United Kingdom. We're going to the Silverstone Classic Circuit, GT3, GT4 racing, and we're going to be broadcasting it live again, Nick.
Yeah, it should be good. GT3s, GT4s, hopefully in iRacing works in 12-week stints, and they release new cars on week 13. So hopefully a new GT4 car will be joining the fray.
Okay.
So they'll make the GT4 class multi-car class as well.
I didn't know that, Nick. Is that a rumour or a fact? Or?
It's earmarked for sometime this year. I'm just hoping it's this coming end of week 13.
What
so
do you think
it could be later.
be?
We know what it is.
What is it?
It's Break My Windows M4.
Wow, okay. That's a turn up for the book. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, man.
Nice car.
Go to the homepage and have a read. It's somewhere down there in the news section. But yeah, they only just scanned it at the start of the year. But I think the whole COVID business has slowed them down. But who knows? They could still be making computer models and the like at home. So
Okay.
I was going to say COVID slowed everyone down, but have a look at that too. The lights are out on the course car, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to go back to green.
So yeah, it should be good. Silverstone's quite an open track. I think last night I did the GTE cars, which are the Le Mans style cars, slightly faster, but they're well suited to that track. So should be good. Nice fast flowing track, long corners, lots of downforce, so it should be good.
And same rules apply with the 40-minute race there.
Yeah, correct.
And just if one of you have the calendar on you, you might run us through what else we can look forward to as far as the GT3, GT4 series is concerned before we go back to green here.
Absolutely, I'll just do that. Hang on.
Glenn Postlethwaite, the leader here, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to go back to green, but we'll wait for Paul first.
Just have to find the right sheet, that's all.
That's right.
Legacy Daytona the week after, Phillip Island Circuit the week after that, Brands Hatch Grand Prix, and then Mount Panorama on 2 consecutive weeks, a 40-minute race on the first week, and then a 2-hour race the following.
Okay, so it's a 7-week series. Is that right?
That'll be production cars. That'll be week 9, won't it? The last race. Week 10.
We'll work it out. We'll come back to it later, boys. We'll talk more about the full calendar for GT3, GT4, and also obviously what's still ahead here for production cars and stock cars. We know the calendar for stock cars, production cars. It's a week-by-week thing. We learn the course there. But right now, our focus returns to racing. Course car's about to peel off. When he goes off into the lane, the field is in the control of Glenn Postlethwaite. When he puts the foot to the floor, we go back racing at Daytona. And he got a nice restart as well. Carl Watmore went with him. They gapped Whitaker and also McLaughlin. And they come to turn 1. The trouble point for Postlethwaite so far, but he's through safely on this time. On this occasion, Watmore went with him. Whitaker's got the jump on McLaughlin at the start there as well as they head to turn 3. Everybody safely threw up the restart. That was what we were fearful of. Turn 1, and everybody navigated their way through in gentleman style.
A little bit of trouble further back.
I'm just having a little bit of an issue with the vision at my end there, but we'll get back to that in just a moment.
That's all right. Callum Watmore coming onto the banked oval here, right on Glenn Postlethwaite now. It looks like Glenn and Cal have built a bit of a lead. And then you got Chris Whitaker, John McLaughlin, Sam Collins, and Ben Snell all line astern there for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Very nicely done as the field heads onto the back straight one more time. Our race order with lap 13 of 25, so this is the halfway point of the motor race. Postlethwaite, Watmore and Whitaker, then McLaughlin. No real surprise there. As the field heads into the bus stop. And out of the bus stop, there's our race leader. On the banked tri-oval section of the circuit, all around, out of turn 12, across the start-finish line. And immediately defending on the inside, trying to break the slipstream for Carl Watmore, make it as difficult as he possibly can for the youngster to find a way through. And Postlethwaite leads the field back to turn 1. Out of the left-hander, through the right-hander at 2, the kink back at, they call that just 2, the right and the left. And then the third corner is, of course, the right-hander hairpin where the teams and drivers are entering now. McLaughlin 4th, the 141 in 5th, and the 64 running P6. That's Spenny Snell and, of course, Sam Collins, just to fill in the gaps there for you.
They haven't spread out this time.
No, they haven't. This is really good stuff. They're stuck together, almost like glue. The closer they are, the more exciting the product for you in the closing stages here.
I got a gut feeling that, Callum Watmore having a look, I got a gut feeling that to get track position, Glenn Postlethwaite took on 2 tyres, but it looks like the rest of the field took 4, and I think it's paying dividends now.
I think you're absolutely right. And that was what we were talking about. That was the gamble that Postlethwaite ran to try and get track position, but it all was eradicated because the caution flag was thrown as soon as he got out on the racetrack. So that didn't work. That really didn't work, and it could hurt him in the long run tonight. But Carl Watmore stuck with him. And wait to see who's going to get the better of that battle. And there's also the prospect, in fact the real prospect, of another round of pit stops to come as well. And there'll be no caution flags thrown in the last 10 laps. So if anything's going to help Glenn Postlethwaite, it's got to come in the next in the next lap and a half. And then that's it. He's got to ride it out, run his own luck from that point on.
We could see some strategy happening too. If Glenn might have to take on 4 tyres under green flag conditions, whereas Callum or some of the other guys behind might take on 2.
Exactly.
So they might get the jump on track position, but we'll see. Glenn all season long has so far run people down that have tried things like that. So we'll see what happens. He just didn't have enough laps last time.
Oi, we've got a spinner on the inside there at turn 1.
That was 173 into the tyre
In
wall.
the wall.
Pete Matson.
Yep, Matson's come out and stuck.
He's reset back to the pits now.
That could have been the stroke of luck for the boys at the front of the field to get the course car, but it's not going to happen for them now. 11 laps to go here. And a reminder that there's no course car deployment in the last 10 laps. So we could have a monster pile-up somewhere and still no course car. But the fact of the matter is that if we're going to get a course car, it's going to come in the next half a lap, and I don't think that's going to happen. So they are riding this out on strategy from this point on. No assistance. And that makes for an interesting final 10 laps for us here. Looking forward to having a chat to a few of these boys at the end of the race. It's been one of the better ones. And it's far from over. Possibly leads Watmore, 0.4 of a second. Whitaker sits third. He's not far off, nor is John McLaughlin. We've waited a couple of weeks, Nick, but finally the top 4 are stuck to each other like glue, and this is the sort of race we've been hanging out for.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I guess, the more time on the car, more time with the car, and the more time on these setups, it'll slowly close the field up. Those who had an advantage will, the other guys will start playing into that and start finding that advantage. So closing it all up, which is really good. Just having a look through the incident count over here, I've got Glenn Postlethwaite's only got 1 incident so far. That's really good driving. Callum Watmore's got 3. Chris Whitaker's got 5. And we got Sammy Bobby, who's doing double duty. He's got 24, so he's 6 away from getting a drive-through penalty here.
Would you say that's indicative of how hard they're having to push to catch up to that #1 spot?
I would dare say so. And knowing what Glenn has done in previous weeks, Glenn saves him for the final stint, so he can then take those. A bit like the live coverage of the professionals that we watched on Wednesday. He uses them up in the final stint, so we'll see how we go.
And that's a loosely used term as well, professional. Don't worry about that. Hey, have a look at this. Watmore was sticking the nose up on the inside of Postlethwaite going into turn 5 and 6. He wasn't able to get by, and he's right on his bumper bar heading through the bus stop section of the circuit. The aerial shot shows tells the story for you folks, shows the margin. It's about a car length in favour of Postlethwaite at the moment. They've gapped Whitaker and McLaughlin. That's the battle for 3rd and 4th. Snell's back there with Collins. In fact, it looks like Collins has got the upper hand there at the moment. I might be wrong on that assumption, but they come back across the line, and Watmore is all over the back of Glenn Postlethwaite. Have a crack, son! Can't get up the inside just yet. He's right there, though, and already you see how totally Postlethwaite's car is, so already the tyres are being very uncooperative for him. In the closing stage of the race here, we've got 9 to go.
Sam Collins in.
So Collins the first one to come in out of that lead 6.
It is a critical lap, because if it only lasts 9 laps, Sam can make it all the way to the end, so we'll see how this plays out.
He certainly can. And therefore we probably expect the rest of them to come in sometime in the next lap or 2.
Yep, Sam's out.
So Sam's back on the track. The boys still are on the infield section of the circuit. And already you can tell how hard Postlethwaite's fighting against the rubber tonight. I mean, it's and Watmore sideways coming out of 6 as well. It's been the talking point right from the get-go. But yeah, Glenn's really working hard tonight. The tyres almost working against him in this race. As we watch the rest of the field make their way around the tri-oval here. The first of the embankments at turn 6, or 7 I should say. The run up down the back straight to 8, 9, 10 and 11 through the bus stop section of the circuit. The Postlethwaite, Watmore, Whitaker, McLaughlin, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 at this point in time. what a race this is turning out to be at Daytona.
Oh, excitement plus. And
Absolutely. There's Sam Collins on our screen now.
the leader, Glenn Postlethwaite, has just pitted just as Sam gets on the screen. So now Callum Watmore's got the lead.
So Watmore's going later than Postlethwaite. Now this is interesting as well, because with different strategies in play, we're talking at the end of the race here, we're going to be talking about Watmore on fresher rubber than Postlethwaite regardless now of what goes on. They all pitted on the same lap first time round, not the second time round. So that's an indication that the tyre wear is a little bit less of a factor for the likes of Watmore, McLaughlin and Whittaker than it is for Glenn Postlethwaite as Sam Collins crosses the line and heads towards turn 1.
And Glenn's out, and Sam's coming to round him up.
There you go.
Looks like he's going to come out about a second and a half in front, 2 seconds.
Which is about the margin he had, if not just a little bit less, when he went into the lane. So there's the talking point for you now. And Collins is on worse rubber than Postlethwaite for the moment. But Postlethwaite's car has been tearing the tyres to shreds so far tonight.
Who will blink next?
Well, that's exactly right. That's the big question right here, right now. There's Postlethwaite heading up to turn 6 now. This is a marvellous... I mean, there are some good road course variations of these oval circuits in the United States, but this is one of the best. Right here in Daytona, the old city of Florida. Of the state of Florida, I should say, in the United States. Oh, spinner!
Callum Watmore's in.
Callum Watmore's in the line, and we had a spinner at turn 6, but he gathered it up.
Chris Whittaker, Glenn and Ben Snell are in.
So John McLaughlin's continued on?
Yeah, looks like John McLaughlin's leading this lap. Brock Payne's continued on as well.
Leads.
I'm just going to focus on Sam Collins, Glenn Postlethwaite, see where they come out.
Rightio. This is going to be interesting right here, right now. Watmore and Whittaker, nose to tail on the line. This is make or break stuff as far as this race is concerned. Off and gone. Whittaker got the jump on Watmore.
Oh, wow.
Quick, efficient stop from Whittaker.
And on his right. On his right is Glenn Postlethwaite.
Have a look at
side
this.
by side.
And out onto the circuit comes Whittaker, and they're side by side, and Whittaker on the outside going into turn 3. Can't get the job done, but he's right there. And he's on fresher rubber than Postlethwaite. So all of a sudden it's advantage. It's advantage Chris Whittaker on a Friday night. Looking the goods for back-to-back here. Down the inside, wanted to have a look going into turn 5, couldn't get it done. I mean, what the hell's happened to Callum Watmore? He's been left behind in all of this. Forget about Watmore, his aspirations dashed. He's been rejoined in about 6th position there, 7th position on the corrected order. Once we factor in that John McLaughlin is yet to stop. But where's McLaughlin going to rejoin in relation to Postlethwaite and Whittaker? That's what we're talking about right here, right now.
Chris Whittaker comes alive in the back end of the race the last couple of weeks. It's really good.
It's been fantastic.
And looks like John McLaughlin's starting to come in now, so we'll see how he fares in this. Looks like Callum Watmore's in behind both Ben Snell and Sam Collins. So Sam Collins is leading from those two.
He might have taken on 4 tyres.
Possibly.
He might have taken on 4, whereas everyone else might have chose for 2.
Brock Payne goes through another lap, so he's finally leading his first lap.
There we go. Well done, Brock.
Series.
The Brock Payne, the youngster, he was running in the top 10 at the time. Now on corrected order, it'll be interesting to see where he slots back in once he comes in. He won't be able to go all the way. We know that.
John got 4 tyres from what I could see there, so he's out of the pits now.
And McLaughlin out. Ah, yes, and he's behind Watmore, and by about 2 seconds as well. However, what's going to be interesting here is how these guys fare. I'm now of the assumption that Whittaker's taken 2 tyres, and Postlethwaite, I'm not sure what strategy he's running at the moment, but we've got to be mindful of Postlethwaite's tyre wear. These guys could be all battling in a group by the end of this because the fresher rubber, the more rubber you've got at your disposal, the quicker you're going to be over these last few laps. So watch Snell, watch Collins, watch McLaughlin, watch Watmore charge through and try and latch onto the back of not only Watmore, Postlethwaite, but also Whitaker. Watch these guys latch on as the laps dry up here. We're inside 6 laps to go.
Glenn just did a 47.6, so he's almost as fast as his fastest lap, and a second off his qualifying pace, so he's not holding back right.
But it's great to have you company from wherever you're tuning in on a Friday night. On the precipice of some newfound freedom coming back into our lives, it's nice that you're all still tuning into iRacing with us. The Gentlemen's Racing Club. Brock Payne in the pits, that was the word I just got through from Nick there, so we'll wait and see where Brock filters in as well. Post-race reminder, there's a 15-second penalty coming the way of Trent Laves at the end of this as well, from what Nico told us earlier, from an earlier incident. So that rules him out of consideration here, but we'll have a chat to him in the chat room after this race anyway. Look at Watmore giving the 64 off Collins. They're big, hurry up, and they're side by side through turn 2, and Watmore prevails. Collins was sideways and lucky to gather it up.
Elbows out.
Nicely done, Callum Watmore. Needed that because that releases him now. He can now go out in pursuit of Whitaker and also Postlethwaite.
They still got to jump over Ben Snell. Ben Snell's his next target.
Apologies there, I was just clearing my throat off there. No, you're right, sorry, I didn't realise that Snell had already got by Collins, so watch this, because I'm not ruling any of these guys out just yet. McLaughlin's also got by through on Collins in the last half a minute or so. McLaughlin's in pursuit of Watmore, they're both in pursuit of Snell. And then you've got to factor in that Whitaker and Postlethwaite are well out in front, but they haven't got as fresh a rubber as the guys behind them. We're of the belief that Watmore's taken 4 tyres and Whitaker's only taken 2. That's the only explanation I have for why Whitaker got out 3 seconds ahead of Watmore, or 4 seconds ahead of Watmore.
Yeah.
It was an incredible stuff from Whitaker.
Glenn Postlethwaite did a 48.8 on that last lap, and Chris Whitaker, if I look at my timing here, has done a 48.8. So what's the gap there? 3-second gap?
Yep.
It looks like they're going to be back in the first and second positions here. Brock Payne looks like he's filtered out in around 9th position.
We've got Nico back in the chat room. Probably a good time to check in with him very quickly and see if there's been any other incidents that you've had to have.
Callum's around. Callum's parked it at turn 1.
Callum Watmore's parked it at turn 1. We're just hearing that. You're not seeing that on your screen at the moment. You will in a moment. However, as the field's heading down to turn 1, he's got back going, but that's his race, or his aspirations for a race victory done. It just seems as though luck just continues to elude Callum Watmore in the iRacing series. That's quite unfortunate. Quickly to you, Nico, just to check in. Any incidents to speak of at the moment?
Yeah, we had to review an incident with Sammy Bobby, Stephen Birchnell as well. But we're going to have a look at after the race. A little bit too complicated to make a call on tonight.
Okay. No worries. Thanks for the update. We continue to watch this race unfold. Postlethwaite's about 1.5 seconds clear of Whitaker at the moment. We were looking at Snell. Now we're looking at Whitaker. There's Postlethwaite going into the bus stop. That's the margin. And again, we're mindful of Postlethwaite's wear and tear of rubber when we're closing in on, 4 laps to go? So 3 laps to go next time. Can he hold on? Has he done enough? And has Whitaker done enough to hold on to second if he can't get Postlethwaite? Because it looks like Snell's flying. It looks like Collins has the potential to come through, and so too Rule Callum Watmore out as well because of what's unfolded at turn 1 on the previous lap. He had that spin that rules him out of contention.
It was unfortunate. He might not have rev matched enough for the gear, and he just went around, which is unfortunate. It was the slowest spin in the world.
Yeah.
I laugh because it happens to me all the time. If you misselect the gear, or if you just don't rev it enough, it just chucks it in and then just she's around, and it's the slowest spin. You can't do a damn thing about it.
Exactly. I was just going to say too, it's interesting when you look at the circuit, we're talking about a minute 46, a minute 47, just how much the average speed comes down when you throw in this extra 1.73 kilometres of racetrack, the infield section of the bus stop section of the circuit compared to the oval, because they lap the oval in less than half of what they're currently lapping the full course in. So it's amazing how much the average speed diminishes when you chuck in an extra 1.73 kilometres of racetrack. Now, we continue to ride on board here. Around turn 6, around turn 7 on the run to 8, 9, 10 and 11, the bus stop halfway along the back straight here. Lovely aerial shot of the infield for you. Jack the camera up above the light tower there.
Good battle going 9, 10, 11.
Keep our eyes peeled. So a four-way battle for the minor placings, 9, 10, 11 and 12 here. Contemplate the leader. Whittaker still second. The margin now out to 2.5, so it might just be going Glenn Postlethwaite's way tonight. 2 to go next time by the line. There's that battle we were talking of. Nick, we might get you to update us on that lower order there, because Nico's just pointed out who's where, but I'm not seeing that information on my screen right now.
Yeah, Brockman's making a bit of a run on Gaza.
Yeah, just having a look, going to turn through the tri-oval now, he's backed out of it. So going 6 onwards, we've got Michael Schreier, very quiet achiever. Well, Gaza's running wide at turn 1.
Yeah, and Brock Payne's going to sneak it up the inside, I think.
Brocky on the fresh tyres all the way through. Michael Schreier in 6th, Callum Altmore 7th, Brendan Jackson 8th, Brock Payne 9th, Gary Cousins in 10th, and then just outside the top 10 there we got Trent Laves, Yanni, I'm not going to say his surname, Brendan Whittaker, Kester Ward, Adam Laves, Nick Windsor, and Stephen Birchinall are the last guys on the lead lap. That takes us to 17th position.
Okay, and just remember, of course, too, folks, we mentioned Trent Laves, but he's going to cop a 15-second time penalty at the end of this for an incident earlier on. We're watching the 887 come through turn 5 right now.
Brock Payne now is closing in on Brendan Jackson. Brendan Jackson, Gazza and Brock Payne all on a big row there.
So did I miss that? Did Brock put on tyres, did he?
I didn't get to see it, but it looks like he has.
Yeah, it looks like he has, Nico, but also more to the point, he pitted after everyone else as well, so he's on fresher rubber regardless. Nice drive from the youngster tonight. Now, our leader will be coming around to get the white flag next time by. This race is reaching its crescendo. There's Postlethwaite going into turn 1. So this, I do believe, will be the last lap of the motor race.
Yeah, he's hanging it out sideways.
It's just been confirmed for me right now on our lap board here. So Glenn Postlethwaite, what a performance this has been. Absolutely struggled with rubber in the first half of the race. Didn't look like he was going to be able to hold on. A spin for Callum Watmore, a tyre gamble from Chris Whittaker, and a few other factors have fallen his way. He's now going to get the chance to grab his 3rd win in 4 weeks. Now look at this. Look at Snell around the outside of Whittaker. Not able to get the job done. But he's right there is Snell. And Whittaker's tyres are shot. Snell's going to have a big chance of grabbing 2nd in the closing stages here, but he can't muck it up. He's got to be picture perfect. He's got to be precise. And he's got to get this job done with precision if he's going to get by Whittaker in the closing stages. He needs a tremendous tow around onto the back straight. The aerial shot tells the story. Postlethwaite's gone. Forget about him. I don't think Snell's going to be close enough at the end here unless Whittaker mucks it up in the bus stop. Through they come up. They use all the road and a little bit more. Snell's closed up tremendously. He'll have a chance if he can get the draft onto the main straight, but I still think he's just a little bit too far back. Checkered flag in the air for Glenn Postlethwaite. He's got his third win in 4 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, in the Stock Car Racing Championship here at the Gentlemen's Racing Club, and Whittaker's going to do enough to hold on for second in the end. Podium again for Chris Whittaker. Snell goes third, and that was tremendous racing on a Friday night.
Quickly drop back to Brock Payne, Brendan Jackson, and Gary Cousins. I've been watching their last lap. It has been tooth and nail. And hopefully we get to the director, can we get to him? Because Brock Payne's got the toe hit coming into the tri-oval. I just don't think he has enough.
Just couldn't get there. Missed out by Harper Carling. Great drive from the youngster. In fact, pretty clean race for all involved tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Only one penalty thrown tonight, which is really good. There's a couple of incidents we'll watch after the race, but yeah, great driving all round. Fantastic racing, and really good stuff from Glenn Postlethwaite. I'm really interested to get the views of the boys on tyre wear once we get into the chat room in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. Do hang with us. Because that was a big talking point in the early stages, and the pressure was really being applied to Glenn Postlethwaite, but he answered the challenge, he got the job done, and now Chris Whittaker wants to do some circle work. Great race, and stock cars on the road course, that's a winner in my book, Nick.
I think that was bloody awesome. I just wish there was more people in the race. I thought there was going to be closer to 30. That's all right.
All right, well, if you can just scroll back up to the top of your screen there, we'll quickly run through the finishing order. Glenn Postlethwaite from Chris Whittaker, margin 1.9 in the end, and he was just under 4/10 ahead of Ben Snell. John McLaughlin was 4/10, Collins Michael Schreier. Cal Watmore coming back there into position at number 7, and I've just lost that feed there, Nick, so if you can run...
Yeah, I've got ready. So we had Brock Payne, Gary Cousins.
In fact, I was going to say, yeah, I've lost Nick altogether. So Paul, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so Brock Payne, Gary Cousins, Frank Hayes, 11. Yanni Sotirio, I think you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Kester Ward, Brendan Whittaker. We had Adam Laves and Nicholas Windsor on the lead lap. Behind them, Stephen Birchnell, Pete Matson. And Jason Lee, I think, kind of dropped out early. So, yeah, really good turnout. Good event. Definitely some great driving out there.
And now Glenn Postlethwaite has the chance to smoke it up on the infield here on the main straight. A terrific performance from everybody concerned, all and sundry. That was fantastic racing. And thanks to Paul for running through the rest of the results there. Good result for Brock Payne. Good result for, obviously... all the drivers in the top 10 there. Trent Laves will cop a 15-second post-race penalty, as Paul said earlier. It'll be interesting to see where he falls into all of that on the back of those penalties being applied. And,
yeah, he'll probably jump down to, just looking at it now, he'll probably jump down to about 14th, maybe, around that sort of area.
So it hasn't been a good night at the office.
Yeah, we looked at the replay a couple of times. There was a bit of net code involved, but we think the net code, even with the net code, he still would have hit the back of the car in front. So we just have to call it as we see it.
Yeah, and that's one of the difficult things, of course, with technology. There's always that margin for error, if you like, but you guys use your judgment as best you see fit, and that's really good to see. What a race that was. We'll have a chat to Glenn Postlethwaite when he comes into the chat room very, very shortly. In the meantime, let's go to Chris Whittaker. Mate, that was an awesome second pit stop for you, but it looked like Cal took 4 tyres and you took 2. The gamble paid off in the end, but just not good enough to catch Glenn on a night where tyre was a big talking point. Well done.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, obviously Glenn had the pace there yet again, just for a change. So another strategy.
What's new?
Yeah, exactly right. Strategy seemed to work pretty well for us. Just the right sides only in that second stop, 4 tyres in the first stop. But yeah, driving on marshmallows at the end there. I was giving it absolutely everything I could to to hold Benny out there. But no, he drove really well not to drive into the back of me, to be honest. But yeah, no, I definitely can't complain. I'm pretty happy with the second there.
Indeed, you should be, mate. A first last week, a second this week. A nice job. You mentioned 2 tyres in the second stop. Is that a decision that you wished you made differently and went with 4, just from a standpoint of maybe being able to get closer to Glenn in the closing stages?
I don't really think I would have got him anyway. If I'd have taken the second tyres, I would have lost 6 seconds. So I lost track. And I don't know if you saw under brakes. Into pit lane, Ben picked up about 82 car lengths as well. So
yes,
he made up a hell of a lot of time, did a really, really good job there. But I think the strategy that I ran for me was probably the best for the night. But any other one probably would have ended up 5th or 6th or something like that. Would have been an easier drive, less arm pump, but yeah.
Yep. That first stint looked tremendous. Looked like great entertainment from the cockpit as well as from the sky. The 4 of you, John, yourself, Glenn, and also Cal, just going hammer and tong. That was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit follow the leaderish, I think, at the start there, but it's a very difficult track to pass on. Even if you've got pace, I mean, you saw in that second stint, I think it was, when Cal had some serious pace to burn on Posse, but he just couldn't get through. But yeah, with Johnny there, awesome job tonight. Really, really good job by John tonight. He's picked up that consistency. He's had the pace, the outright pace all along. Just that consistency seems to be there. So well deserved. I think 4th or 5th, something like that. It was a bloody good effort.
Heap of drivers coming into the chat room. I'm going to get to all of you at some point, but right now I'll leave Chris for the moment. Stay with us, mate. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back to you as the conversation unfolds here. Glenn Postlethwaite is in the house, and he's won his 3rd race in 4 weeks. And you had to do it the hard way tonight, mate. Tyre wear a big talking point for your car as well, particularly in that opening stint. But in the end, you had the pace, you had the ability to get through all the obstacles thrown in your way and get another win. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm pretty happy with that. It's definitely a hard track, this one. It's really slippery, so it definitely wears the tyres down. You lose a lot of time.
That opening stint, it looked like you were under real pressure to keep the lead because of that tyre wear factor, but also, as you just say now, the slide and slip factor as well. Is that something that played into your tactic to pit 1 lap earlier in the second stint before taking tyres and fuel for the run home?
It was a bit of a hard one in the first stint. I pushed pretty hard early on, and I pulled about a 2.5-3 second lead, and then I had a bit of a problem with one of the lap cars going into the chicane, and I got it pulled me right back, and then sort of made it hard from there. So I took 2 tyres in the first stop, just right hand side, and then the safety car came out, and Cal had, I think, taken 4 tyres, so he was hard to hold off in that sort of next stage. And then the last stage, I just tried to hold the gap, and then I took 4 tyres at the end there, and I actually thought he was probably going to pass me, but I don't know what happened with him. He sort of dropped back a little bit.
And made a nice way to bounce back after a disappointing run in the last round at Montreal.
Yeah, I definitely had a bit of redemption needed there, so that was good to get back on top.
Yeah, of course, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve last week. So hang there, mate. We'll come back and have a chat to you in a moment. Ben Snell, you're in the chat room. Fantastic run home, mate, and very nearly had the chance to pip Mr. Whitaker on the run to the line. Tell us about the run home from your view.
Oh boy, what happened at the end there, Chris? I was just super aggressive coming into the pits and picked up a couple of spots. I even jumped Cal in the pits as well and came out. And I'm not too sure if Chris didn't take tyres or only took 2 tyres because I was coming up on him like a steam train. But unfortunately for me and fortunately for you guys watching, it was a great defensive drive there from Chris, and I just couldn't quite get past him.
Indeed. Chris actually mentioned as soon as we opened the conversation with him that you made up something like 87 car lengths on him coming into pit lane in the second stint. What was the secret to getting the run into pit lane right? Is that something you worked on earlier in the week just to make up a couple of car lengths here and there?
I think he's been watching Scott McLaughlin, hasn't he?
Yeah. What was the secret, Betty?
During qualifying, I essentially didn't qualify. I wanted to start at the back, and because I wasn't quite confident in the my driving quite yet. So I wanted to warm up. So I actually did about 4 practice pit entries. So just got my mark, found where I wanted to stab the brakes. And pretty much every time I came into the pits, I was about 5Ks over the limit, but it's enough to not get pinged.
I think everyone's going to be taking a leaf out of your book going forward. I haven't asked anyone about the next round of the championship yet, but that's a nice way to bounce back your results. You've been there or thereabouts, mate, but it must be nice to finally get in the top 5, in the top 3, even in a race like that. That was a nice way to start the second half of the championship for you.
Yeah, definitely. I've been starting from the back just to keep it entertaining, especially for the stream.
Yes, and we appreciate that.
The results have been up and down. I've had a couple of good ones and a couple of absolute shockers as well. So I'm definitely happy to get myself a podium.
And it was a very good show to watch as well, mate. So well done to you. Stay there. We'll come back to you very, very shortly. Let me move around here in the chat room. We've caught up with Chris Whitaker. We've caught up with Glenn Postlethwaite and Ben Snell. Let's go and have a chat now to John McLaughlin. Mate, well done. A nice performance from you. The second pit stop cost you a little bit of time. You got caught in traffic there in the start of the third stint, but you still brought it home in one piece, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I probably screwed up that last stop a bit. My strategy game's probably subpar to these guys. I haven't been doing iRacing that long, so it's hard for me to calculate my fuel and all that sort of stuff on the run. So I kind of just fill it up each time and take 4 tyres each time. So that's kind of just me being lazy, I guess. But no, it was good. I actually ran the VR headset tonight, and I decided this afternoon about 5 o'clock that I was going to run the headset. I'd been practicing with the screen all week, well, a couple of nights this week, and I decided, stuff it, I'll try the VR headset. I picked up 1.5 seconds straight away. So I found I was a lot quicker with that. I was just able to judge the braking markers and the distances and whatnot a lot better and a lot more consistently. So, it's good to find some pace finally. The front guys are within reach now, which is good.
For the techies at home, could you just let us know what VR headset you're using? So I think there's about 3 or 4 on the market at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm using an Oculus Rift. I've had it for a little while. I tend to get a bit of a headache, but I wasn't too bad tonight, so I haven't been using it, but I decided to give it another crack since I've got a bit more serious, and it's definitely better for me.
I was going to say that's probably the secret that you'll carry forward for the remaining 4 rounds of the season now.
Yeah, definitely not going back after that. It's just, so much more consistent and a lot more pace out of it, I think. It's just having that 3D effect is just, it's so much better than the flat.
Yeah.
Also, let us know. We've got some really good fuel calculator programs. John, if you need a hand with that, just hit us up in the Facebook page and we'll send you the links to what we have.
We're just having a look at John's replay of the finish there, just skating straight through the infield. Very nicely done, and then some circle work on the grass. John, remaining 4 rounds of the championship, you're now sitting in a not too bad a spot, but your opening stint there, you were right on the tail of Cal, of Chris, and also of Glenn. That was a real good tussle in the opening stages, and it had a little bit of everything, and you just knew that if so much as one of you guys slipped up, the whole order was going to change. It was real pressure motor racing to take a Cromptonism out of the dictionary in the opening stint there, wasn't it?
Oh, it was awesome. I think through the whole race, even after that first stop, we were pretty much line astern again until the second stop when we kind of changed it up a bit. But, I was just happy to be there, to be able to hang on to those guys. It was awesome considering where I've been. And then that last stop, I put 4 tyres on, and I think a lap later than everyone. My in-lap was terrible, which is probably where I dropped a whole lot of time. But when I came out of there, I had the 4 tyres, and I was pulling in Chris and Ben. I was able to close that gap a little bit. I could see them, and I could see them getting closer. But, my last lap was terrible. I overcooked the tyres, which is easy to do in these things. But, it's good to have pace, and it was a good pressure motor race there. I was on the back of Chris pretty close at some points, which was a lot of fun.
Indeed. Now, I'll come back to you in a moment, mate. Well done. I just want to quickly grab Sam Collins while he's in the chat room as well. A nice effort from you tonight, mate, in the top 6, fighting right to the very end, and probably the most we've seen of you during the course of a race throughout the course of the championship thus far. What do you make of tonight?
Yeah, I had a pretty uninteresting race. I didn't quite have the pace of the top. Well, I ended up fifth, but the top five, including Cal, that should have been in front of me. But yeah, I sort of tried a bit of an alternative strategy and pitted a bit earlier than everyone else. I was hoping the safety car would come out 2 or 3 laps earlier, which would have really helped. But
luck of the draw, unfortunately.
That's it. I was sort of struggling with tyres towards the end, obviously, with everyone else stopping like 2 or 3 laps later. But it was sort of the best I could do with what the pace I had this week.
Indeed. I'll just quickly run through for anyone that might be just joining us. This is the post-race show on the back of round 6 of the Stock Car Road Racing Championship for the Gentlemen's Racing Club. And it was Glenn Postlethwaite on top, fastest lap of the race, 146.633 in qualifying. He had the fastest lap there. 50 minutes and 17 seconds tonight, 1.9 seconds over Chris Whitaker, and then Ben Snell, John McLaughlin, and the bloke we're talking to at the moment, Sam Collins. Michael Schreier, I should say, was 6th. Cal Watmore, Brendan Jackson, Brock Payne, and then, of course, Gazza there in position number 10. Trent Laves just down behind them, but he'll lose a couple of spots due to a 15-second post-race penalty. I'm coming to Brock Payne very shortly. I'll stay with Sam Collins. What do you make of the course tonight, mate? Obviously, we normally associate the stock cars, the road course at Daytona, but from what we've seen, there's a real push now from the virtual world to the real world to say send the NASCARs for a lap around the road course because it threw up some really good racing.
Yeah, I don't think this circuit really suited the cars too much. It was definitely different. It's a bit hard from brake to brake from 300 k's an hour down to 80 or so for the first corner. That's for sure. It's a bit of a challenge for everyone. It was easy to lose half a second to a second by braking 10 meters too late,
or early as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was a different challenge. It was good fun.
On the back of your comment just there, mate, can I ask you from your standpoint, how'd you find the tyre wear and also the brake wear throughout the course of the hour that we just went racing for?
It was more the tyre wear. So you probably get the first 2 laps of a stint was really good, and then after that, it was slowly dropped off. So after, say, 2 laps, you'd lose a second and a half, and then you'd lose a couple of tenths every lap after that.
Indeed. Now, I'll come back to you very, very shortly. Who else can I grab? Nick Windsor, you're in the chat room. I'll come to you in a moment. Brock Payne, however, mate, you were in the top 10 there in the end. A great performance, and it looked like you had a lot of fun. And wherever we saw you, there were cars left, right, and centre. You were in the midst of a battle right throughout the course of the race. It looked like a pretty good night from your standpoint. Tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Yeah, definitely a fun race. It was a lot of practice to get this track right. But yeah, it was good to have a car around me. Makes the race a bit more fun, and especially when they're clean racing as well. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed.
You had a real big opportunity to get 8th on the line there, mate. You missed out by just on a 10th of a second to Brendan Jackson. What was the feeling under in the cockpit, I should say? What was the feeling there when you saw him with inside on the run of the line and then only just missed out?
Well, I was trying to get the best run out of that last chicane, but the slipstream does make these cars fun. But I pitted 2 or 3 laps later than Brendan, so I had way better tyres. I had the opportunity to go around them earlier, but I ran wide and then lost a bit of ground there and actually lost the spot and had to get back up there. But maybe one more lap and I would have had him. But yeah, it was great racing.
Indeed it was. And what did you make of the course, mate? Because obviously everyone's been talking about tyre wear and brake wear, but the circuit as a whole, it threw up some good racing and a nice challenge for you guys on a Friday.
Yeah, for sure. I actually didn't mind. It was a bit challenging to get used to at first, but at the end I didn't mind it. That first corner, though, like everyone's been saying, is very tricky to get your braking markers because there's not a lot of – the track's so wide, there's not a lot to go off. So just trying to be consistent in the turn 1, I find, was the most important thing of the night.
Indeed it was, mate. Congratulations. Great performance in the top 10 again. We might come back to you if we've got time before the end of the broadcast here. Nick Windsor, to you now. Not a top 10 finish. You were down in 16th. You weren't far off Adam Laves in the battle for 15th position. Let's hear about the race from your perspective.
Yeah, look, in my practice, I was pretty, I'd say, a little bit off the pace, what I wanted to be. So my strategy for this race was just to try and keep it clean and just try and do as nice a clean a race as possible. I managed to make my way up to 8th in the first stint, but then when the safety car came out, I ran out of fuel and had to get towed back, which sort of made a few issues there. But yeah, look, then middle stint was okay, and then finally on that sort of last stint, I probably pitted a little bit too late, and so I didn't really get the benefit of the tyre for that real last stint. And then I had a bit of a bingle with one of the lap cars, and spun around. But now I spent the last sort of probably 3 laps trying to catch up on the 23 car, and I was just catching up, and then I just ran out of race there.
Indeed. Now, you just touched on an interesting point that I'd forgotten in the midst of everything else that happened tonight. Everyone came in for a pit stop there just before the course car got thrown. You were the only one that we saw that continued on around. It was a gamble that backfired, as you say, because you ran out of fuel. If you had your time over again, would you have followed the rest of the pack in, or would you have continued on?
No, I definitely would have come in. That was actually a mistake. I'm not really too used to this iRacing and watching my fuel either. So I checked the fuel in the garage at the start, and I saw that it said predictive 12 laps, and I thought, oh great, I got 12 laps, and then ran it on lap 10. So so yeah, definitely. Now that I know the tricks and the different pages on fuel, I'll be able to monitor that, and I'll definitely come in with the field next time.
Excellent, mate. Well, we look forward to seeing you play with us again next Friday night. Well done. Let's go back and continue the conversation now with Glenn Postlethwaite. Motorsport is the next stop. Glenn, your thoughts on that Canadian circuit?
Raced there a few times in the V8, but obviously on a car like this, it should be a fun track.
Circuit that's not unfamiliar to hosting the NASCAR tiers, normally the Xfinity cars or the trucks per se. But it should be an interesting little track. We've had a couple of big tracks now. Now we get to go and race on a couple of smaller tracks. So what's the trick going to be for you guys during the week in terms of your preparation? What are you looking towards?
Well, last week I did about 2 hours of practice, and that didn't end well. Today I did 5 laps, and it ended well. So I think I'll go with the same.
Yeah, more is less.
I think Callum Watmore said that the other week.
There's less pressure.
There certainly is. Haven't had a chance to chat to Callum Watmore or Trent Laves, 2 of our regulars in the chat room yet, but we'll see if we can get hold of them before the broadcast finishes.
Just had a chat to them on Facebook. Both are pretty dirty with themselves and their situation, so neither of them are coming on.
Okay, fair enough.
I spoke to Trent. He's cool. He understands what we did with the penalty. So it was a bit of netcode, but he would have hit him anyway. So it's cool.
Yeah. I was going to say from a hang on. I'm just getting a message along the bottom of the screen from Kester Ward, but he's not in the chat room at the moment. The interesting thing from what you've just said there, Nico and Nick. It's probably a good thing for the language meter that we don't get those guys in. However, we've still got Chris Whitaker in here. If they're filthy on themselves, they could drop the effer. But to you, Chris Whitaker, your thoughts on motorsport for next week? And obviously, you're in a good position in the championship now.
It seems I'm getting a reputation by the sound of things to start with. But the way of motorsport, I think it's going to be a pretty tricky track with these things. Probably find the bottom hairpin there. We'll have to do 3-point turns to get things around there, but there'll be some way to get through there, relatively fast, I'd imagine.
Yep.
But it'll be a tricky race. It's going to be a real tricky race, but that's another track that I don't mind. But again, it's not something I've driven this car, and it's always been GTE and GT3 cars, radical stuff like that, big aero cars that I've driven around there. So it'll be a challenge, but looking forward to it.
A shorter circuit, which will mean more laps, which means the fuel and the tyre debate will continue well and truly into next week there. But I must admit, we're on the home stretch now, boys. We've got some real good circuits to come. Of course, Watkins Glen, then Phillip Island, then Bathurst. I mean, we all know everyone's looking forward to Bathurst, but Watkins Glen will be pretty good in these cars as well, Chris.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll all be probably chasing Cal when Watkins comes around. That's an old favourite of his. So, but obviously it's a track that suits the car as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Watkins Glen as well. It's a great circuit.
Be good to get Marcus Ambrose jump in.
Well, it would be. It would be absolutely fantastic. Geez, if the supercars can do it, surely the Gentlemen's Racing Club can achieve it.
Well, I do have a contact, so you never know.
This is good. Go for it. I'm all for that. I was lucky enough, actually, through contacts, and it's amazing how contacts work in motorsport. I was lucky enough to meet Marcus when I was 11 years old, the day that he grabbed pole at Mount Panorama. So that's a fond memory I've got of the great.
Awesome. I'll certainly do some research during the week and see if we can tee that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Go your hardest. Nick's just informed me that points are yet to be finalised, so we'll update the points, obviously, on the Facebook page at some point. Ladies and gentlemen, we won't be able to do that during the broadcast tonight. However, I want to come back to you, Brock Payne, because one of the points that we spoke about last week for you, mate, was you were talking about how you don't get a lot of time to practice on the sim each week because of the sim being at one place and you not always being there. But it worked to your advantage tonight, and Glenn was the same. The less, the better. More is less, as they say. What were your thoughts on practicing on the Daytona course over the course of the weekend, and how much time did you end up being?
Yeah, practice-wise, like after the race last week, the following day and the day after, I did a little bit, but not much through the week. My bulk practice was done today, a couple of hours before server went up. So sometimes I do find it's better not to get, too caught up in it, and just whatever happens when you get there, sometimes seems to work out a bit better.
Indeed. Well, it worked out well for you tonight, mate. Of course, as we say, the end, and when we look at what's to come, what are your thoughts on the circuits that are coming up? And have you are there circuits on the iRacing platform that you've spent more time on than others of those that are coming up? Of course, we've got Bathurst at the end. We've got Phillip Island before that. Then, of course, Watkins Glen in 2 weeks' time. And next week, it's that little tricky motorsport circuit in Canada.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of practice on all those tracks. Probably Phillip Island being the most, but not much with the TA. Stock car, so it'll be interesting.
I was going to say, we now know how you're for motorsport next week.
Yep.
I was going to say, there's a lot we know how you're going to spend your weekend now practicing for motorsport next week. There's a lot to learn there, and that's the great thing about this series, the fact that there's such great variety in circuits, and not only that, but also the length of the circuits and the character of the circuits. Are you enjoying the variety of what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I am. I definitely prefer the faster flowing circuits, but I'll just have to practice a bit more on the twistier ones.
Indeed, we do. Now we'll keep pressing on here because I was going to say I've lost my live feed from an S, so that's okay. We'll push on and we'll go back to Glenn Postlethwaite, mate. The championship lead, based on what we know so far, is still yours. What's the key to maintaining that over the next 4 weeks?
Yeah, hopefully it's just try and keep consistent, basically, sort of go for the wins. But if I can't get a win, just try and sort of rack up the points, I guess.
Canada, the round at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, that hurt you a little.
Yeah, it was not the best round. I was happy to still come through for 4, so it was decent points. But yeah, certainly not the way I wanted it to go. I quite like the track we're going to next, but I really like Phillip Island and I love Bathurst as well, so I'm forward to those two.
Indeed. Now, let me see who else I can jump in and have a chat with here. John McLaughlin, your thoughts on the circuits to come, and obviously, as you say, you're continuing to learn the sim racing here. What are you looking forward to most over the next 4 weeks?
Probably the Aussie tracks, because I'll know them. Yeah, I'm still learning each track, basically the Thursday night each week before the race. So there's a little bit in that probably that I'm lacking. I haven't done a lot of iRacing, so I don't, like this next track, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to buy it and learn it. So, I'm looking forward to those ones that I know, but it was fun. I actually liked tonight's track. It was challenging, but I really enjoyed it, especially once I got the VR set up. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Now, just quickly before we move on, we didn't get a chance. Were any of you running here on Monday night in the GT cars?
No.
Chris, you should give it a try.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I'll get shot if I do that, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, the only reason I asked was I was going to say, I'm just trying to remember names from different series. But before we move on, back to you, Chris. Obviously, you're looking forward to the Aussie circuits as well. What's the key? Obviously, apart from the obvious, which is beating Glenn, what's the key to either securing a podium finish or maybe even winning this thing over the next 4 weeks?
I think a lot of luck is going to come into play with that. And then Pozzie's already shown how consistent he is. A bad night he comes fourth, so it's hard to compete with that when he's got the raw pace as well. But we're just got to maximise every point, every opportunity that we get, and wherever we land at the end of it is where we land. As I said the other week, it's just basically a race at a time at this point in time, and whatever points we end up with.
An interesting point there. While you're talking about the VI, and I just thought I'd throw it out there to find out from the rest of you. I'm going to come back to Benny Snell at this point in. Are you someone that goes for the VR headset, how John has, or have you got the screen set up in front of you?
Oh, I'm running the triple screen setup on my setup, so I'd like to do VR at some point, but at the moment, triples is where it's at for me.
As I always say to anyone listening, if there's any sponsors out there looking to give someone a VR headset, there you go. There's a few people looking.
Yeah, exactly right. What about you, Chris? What's the setup at your joint?
I'm on triple 27s. I wouldn't mind going a little bit bigger than that and a higher refresh rate. I'm only on a 60 hertz screen at the moment, but or 60 hertz screens. But the
bigger the better, as they say. And and what about? Actually, sorry, no, Brock's jumped out of the chat room. What about you, Glenn? What are you running?
I got triple 27s as well. I had a VR headset at one stage. It was just one of the cheap ones, and it was good, but I just couldn't deal with the low resolution. Yeah, fair enough too.
That's the only problem with the VR at the moment is the resolution's quite low. But I don't have the room for the 327-inch monitors or bigger. I've only got a small office, so the VR headset alleviates a lot of that issue. Takes up no room basically. So that's the main reason I run it.
All right, good stuff there. Now, to finalise the conversation, we'll say a big thank you to all the drivers for jumping into the chat room tonight. It looks as though all of you are very much looking forward to reconvening here same time next week. Nick, have I missed anything, or do I need to add anything to what we've been talking about here?
There was one thing I wanted to bring up, if that's all right, if I just step in.
Go for it.
The guys, for those who don't know, the guys have been working extremely hard at the Gentlemen's Racing Club and have incorporated it as a full legal club. So I just wanted to congratulate them first of all. So there's a clap. And for that one, congratulations, guys, on the hard work there. And for anyone listening, if you want to be a part of it, I mean, I think it's $2 for the year. It's a cup of coffee, guys. It's well worth it. Look at the effort they're putting in. Look at the amount. I think there's almost a series every night at the moment.
Yes.
And I should point out that I run separately to the Gentlemen's Racing Club. So this is actually this isn't a self promotion. This is me saying good work to the guys. The club has done an amazing job. I'll definitely be giving them $2. To get on board because it's fantastic. So if you're out there and you're wanting to get involved, jump on. It's a real club now. They're just going above and beyond with everything, and it's just fantastic to be along for the ride. So congratulations, guys.
Chris Whitaker just touched on something that I need to come back to, and that's driver of the night. And I'll and I'll get Nico and Nick to also chime in here and let us know what you thought of the night you just saw, and then I'll come back to Chris Whitaker so that he can throw in his 2 cents worth as well. Rob, who'd you enjoy watching tonight?
Look, the front runners were just, like I said, it was difficult for me to pull off the camera from them. I usually, if you're watching, you'll usually see I work my way through the field, and a lot of the time at the front, there's not that much going on, so I flick back and forward. In this race, it was nearly impossible to pull away from the front, because every time I pulled away, Nick or somebody would be like, "Oh, and they've just done this at the front," and I'm like, "Okay, quick, back to the front, back to the front." So I got to say, there's about 4 or 5 drivers there at the front that were just doing an amazing job. I think Chris Whitaker just really pushing Glenn at the front there, like continuously for the whole time. Also Cal as well, pushing him. The two of them, until a bit later in the race, but for the beginning was just it was hard to pull away. It's hard for me to pick one. I'm sorry, I'm not good at this. It's hard for me to pick one.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Nick, what do you make of what you saw tonight?
Yeah, much along the same lines as Robert there, but I'll work my way up to the person I think's done well. Or my racer of the day, everyone's done well. Glenn and Chris, I mean, like Rob said, you couldn't take your eyes away from that fight. Only decided by 2 seconds at the end there. Where are we? Mr. Snell doing a sleepy from the back, coming from 17th to get the most positions gained, not qualifying. That's pretty good. And to John McLaughlin as well, all of a sudden finding that extra bit of time with the goggle. So good on you guys, the top 4. Unlucky story of the day, probably Callum Watmore parking it at turn 1 there for about 30 seconds.
Yes.
But car 33, Brock Payne, I think just the consistency from week to week is just getting, as a percentage, just better and better. So I'll throw my 2 cents at Brocky there. So Brock will be my driver of the night.
Nico, what do you make of?
Look, I mean, I'm same sentiments with Nico Pop.
Yeah.
I think Brock Payne, awesome drive for a young up and comer, is certainly awesome effort. But I have to throw my head out, and I said this earlier on in the broadcast. My dark horse was Ben Snell. So to come from position 17 up to P3, awesome effort.
Yeah, that's where I was heading as well. I thought Benny's drive was superb, and to come through from, as you say, 17th on the grid, and in a race that had tyre wear to factor in, that had 2 stops, that had the safety car, all these different factors, to gain 14 spots and be almost within reach of second right at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. P2 was in his sights.
It certainly was. So, no, I reckon all of us have voted someone differently there, but that gives an indication of what we're all watching tonight. And I thought also, I mean, you can't give him the driver of the day necessarily, but you've got to give an honourable mention to. I would have got an honourable mention to Brock, most notably, as Nick just touched on, but also to Glenn there in the early stages, and the lack of grip he was battling with there, to keep the guys at bay, come through and still grab what seemed to be a comfortable win in the end. So, definitely plenty to look at and plenty to keep an eye on, as per always, when the Gentlemen's Racing Club go racing here. Now, quickly, there are a couple of you still in the chat window. What are we doing for our mums for Mother's Day? Chris?
I'm waiting to hear what the boss says. So when I know, you'll know.
Very good.
Yeah, I pretty well got home, took the dogs for a walk, and then set my butt in a sim. So I'll probably get a boot up the what's it when I get out of here. But I'll let you know when I know.
I know the feeling.
G'day to mum and dad back home. I'm sure they will.
We also, Zach, we need to talk about next week's production car race.
Yes, I'll come back to that in just a moment, Nico. I haven't forgotten. John McLaughlin, what are we doing on Sunday?
Going to the missus' parents in the morning for a brekkie, and then my parents for dinner, and probably maybe some sim racing.
Very nice. Give your... They're good people. And quickly... Let's throw in Benny Snell. What are you up to on the weekend, mate?
I spend all weekend working on my drift car because my mum lives interstate, so she's going to get a lovely phone call.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as you, mate. 100%. Mum's about 800 kilometres away and the borders are still shut, so she's just going to have to make do with a phone call this year, unfortunately. But no, a big happy Mother's Day to all the great mums out there. We hope you have a huge day on Sunday in what, as Anzac Day and Easter have been very different circumstances, but at least some of the restrictions are lifted so that some of you can catch up with your loved ones. And if not, of course, we live in an era where phone calls, they're only, a couple of digits away. And of course, there's FaceTime and all those other great things as well. Now, Nico, I'm going to come back to you to drop the clue for next week. I've already worked out half the puzzle, and I'm sure the other boys will work that out pretty quickly as well. But what's going on for the production car portion of next Friday night?
So next Friday night the track name it reminds me of a football team in the UK, and the car is a world classic soft top.
So I think we worked out early on, and sorry, what was that, Nick? Waiting for someone to chime back in there, but I think we've lost Nick for the moment. No, I was going to say I think we've worked out that the soft top we're all talking about, we worked this out early on, was the Mazda MX-5. So that's the production car portion of the evening.
Global Mazda, correct.
And anyone want to have a crack at the track? Because I haven't worked that one out.
I have a sneaking suspicion it might be Snitterton.
Incorrect.
Snitterton, Thruxton, Donington, Silverstone.
Alton Park.
Alton Park.
Oh, there it was.
Alton Park.
We have a winner.
That was my second guess, because when you said earlier...
Fullerton. Yeah, close.
Yeah. Somewhat. Well, times with the football team, I thought you might have been talking about Albion Park, and that's where I got Alton Park. So that was the other angle I took on that, and I'd waited all night to drop that when Nick started dropping British circuits. So yeah, all right, time to wrap things
Alton
up.
Park,
Alton Park. That's going to be an absolute corker next Friday night. Great circuit for British touring car racing, and I'm sure the Mazda MX-5s will throw up something as well. So the two heavyweights of the two championships, the production cars won by Michael Hammond, the stock cars won by Glenn Postlethwaite tonight as well. And we look ahead for you. Jeff Cottle's the man to beat in the GT3, GT4 championship, and it returns Monday night. So there's a real British flavour to the first two of our three events, that we bring you next week. Monday night, I think it's around 7:20.
Correct.
Do join us when we go racing for the GT3, GT4 series, second round of, is it 7 or 10, or what number are we going for there, boys?
A 10-round series, yeah.
10-round series. So second round is there next week. That's going to be an absolute corker. The Silverstone Historic Grand Prix circuit, so it's a little bit different to the modern one, of course. And that'll throw up some great racing in the GT3s and GT4s over 40 minutes. So do join Nick and myself for that. Paul will chime in with some in-race commentators for us this week. So we're looking forward to all of that. Friday night, have a look at this for you, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be May 15, and we're back with you. Same time, same place, around 6:30, 7 o'clock. The first leg of the doubleheader takes us to Alton Park for the production cars, the Mazda MX-5s, and they are a very nice production car. Don't worry about that. Wherever there's a production car endurance race in Australia, there's usually an MX-5 or two in the field. So that'll be an even playing field next week. Of course, Witts and Hammond and co, the ones to watch there. And then, of course, the second leg of the doubleheader takes America. So I think it's the fourth week in succession, there's been a North American aspect to our Friday night, and it'll be back to Canada for the motorsport event there for the stock cars. And then, of course, there will only be 3 rounds to go. Watkins Glen, Phillip Island, and Mount Panorama, the jewel in the crown. And that Friday night is shaping up to be an ultra busy one because both the races are a little bit longer. So looking forward to all of that. Final thoughts from Nick and Nico on the night that we've just had there. Because from a steward standpoint, Paul, there's a couple of things that you guys have still got to look out post-broadcast here, but all in all, a pretty clean night of racing.
Yeah, absolutely agree, Zach. I think it was a really clean 2 races, actually. We'll have a look at it, watch the replays tomorrow and make a call on it, but at this stage, we're calling them racing incidents. Nick, I think, awesome effort. I think the drivers are really respecting what the club's all about, which is respectful driving, gentleman driving.
Yeah, tend to agree. It's obviously gaining popularity, it's gaining traction, and unlike some other clubs where they let you go hammer and tongs, we're clamping down on the contact because it ruins people's races, and people spend a lot of hours. And I've heard in a few interviews on the IndyCar actual broadcast, you spend a lot of hours doing it, and you want to get some reward for it.
Oh, that finished at Indianapolis on Sunday morning. That was madness. But there's no doubt about that. Hey, boys, well done again tonight. Thanks to Rob Hazelton and Doadrift for providing the stream for the Gentlemen's Racing Club. Thanks to LJ Hooker at Gaindale and also Central Coast Subaru. And there was one more as well tonight. As well, for their support of the broadcast. On behalf of Nick and Paul, I'm Zach Cabin. We thank you for being with us across Facebook and Twitch. A reminder, if you're still tuning in via either of those streams and you haven't already liked the Doadrift page or tune in and join us on Mondays and Fridays when we go racing with the Gentlemen's Racing Club. And, of course, Rob's involved in some other game stuff that goes through the Doadrift network throughout the course of the week. But this is the sports portion, and this is the part that we love so much. I'll throw things back to Nick to wrap up for the night, and we hope you'll join us again Monday night at 7:20 when we go racing with GT3 and GT4.
Awesome. Look, this broadcast brought to you by Doadrift. I'd like to thank Doadrift. Was sponsored by Central Coast Subaru, LJ Hooker Gaindar of the Gentlemen's Racing Club. Gents with a passion for racing. Thank you. My name is Nick, and
it's good night from me.
Thank you very much, guys. We won't be having the usual show tonight. Following this, we're currently in the middle of moving the studio. I had just enough equipment set up to do this, but the equipment I need to run the rest of the night is down, so I'll let you all have an early night. Get closer to that 14 days from now when we can start heading out. Was it 14 days or 4 weeks?
It'll be this time next.
Yeah, great. So
it's ticking down. It's 11:59 next Friday night. Those restrictions start getting lifted, which will be fantastic.
There you go. So there you go. That's looking good. We can all get back to it. And remember, you can always tune into this on your phone, no matter where you are, when you're allowed back out into society.
Of course, a reminder too, Rob, that is basically what I've just said there. That's for Queensland, because even though National Cabinet has given these recommendations, they've given jurisdiction how they're applied to the respective states, and some are going to be a little bit more upfront than others, unfortunately.
Well, at least we're all heading in the right direction, so that's
exactly
that's the important thing. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tonight.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Great broadcast, Zach. Thanks again, man.
No worries.
We'll wrap this stream up now, and we'll see you on Monday.
Cheers.
Houston, if you're ready, we'll maneuver. Reaching out.